This episode is brought to you by Helix Sleep. Helix Sleep is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses based on your sleep preferences. Their lineup includes 14 unique mattresses, including a collection of luxury models, a mattress for big and tall sleepers, that's not me, and even a mattress made specifically for kids. They have models with memory foam layers to provide optimal pressure relief if you sleep on your side, as I often do and did last night on one of their beds. Models with more responsive foam to cradle your body for essential support in stomach and back sleeping positions, and on and on. They have you covered. So how will you know which Helix mattress works best for you and your body? Take the Helix Sleep Quiz at helixsleep.com/Tim and find your perfect mattress in less than 2 minutes. Personally, for the last few years, I've been sleeping on a Helix Midnight Luxe mattress. I also have one of those in the guest bedroom, and feedback from friends has always been fantastic. They frequently say it's the best night of sleep they've had in ages. It's something they comment on without any prompting from me whatsoever. Helix mattresses are American-made and come with a 10 or 15-year warranty, depending on the model. Your mattress will be shipped straight to your door, free of charge. And there's no better way to test out a new mattress than by sleeping on it in your own home. That's why they offer a 100-night risk-free trial. If you decide it's not the best fit, you're welcome to return it for a full refund. Helix has been awarded #1 mattress by both GQ and Wired magazines. And now Helix has harnessed years of extensive mattress expertise to bring you a truly elevated sleep experience. Their newest collection of mattresses, called Helix Elite, includes 6 different mattress models, each tailored for specific sleep positions and firmness preferences, so you can get exactly what your body needs. Each Helix Elite mattress comes with an extra layer of foam for pressure relief and thousands of extra microcoils for best-in-class support and durability. Every Helix Elite mattress also comes with a 15-year manufacturer's warranty and the same 100-night trial as the rest of Helix's mattresses. Helix is now running their Labor Day sale, which you can take advantage of. Until September 10th, get 25% off on all mattress orders plus 2 free pillows. That is very significant savings. That's 25 off because of their Labor Day sale. So check it out. Go to helixsleep.com/Tim. One more time, Helix, Helix, sleep.com/Tim. With Helix, better sleep starts now. This episode is brought to you by Protect's Rest Supplement, a new take on getting deeper and more restorative sleep. I was introduced to this by former Navy SEAL Nick Norris, who has been on this podcast, and as a mutual friend of ours put it to me, it's very annoying that Nick has no physical weaknesses. This is somebody who can climb like a spider. He has incredible abilities as a rock climber. He is incredibly strong and can also run ultra marathons. It's quite something to behold. And this is one of the tools that he uses. So Protect's Rest Supplement helps provide consistent, restful sleep without any habit-forming ingredients or groggy side effects. Simply add it to your last glass of water before bed, and it goes to work. So I tried this after I mentioned to Nick that I was avoiding melatonin due to next day sluggishness and its possible effects on testicular function. So I was trying to wean myself off of things like that. This rest cocktail has worked wonders, and I've made it part of my sleep toolkit. It's literally on a counter about 20 feet from where I'm recording this right now. Pro tip number 1, if you have trouble opening the packets, just use scissors. Don't make it hard. Pro tip number 2, mix the packets with water. Do not skip that step and chug it alone. I've learned from experience. Rest has no added sugars, artificial sweeteners, or artificial ingredients. Protect is veteran-owned, and they make all of their products right here in the USA. Visit protect.com/Tim to buy Protect Rest, and you will get a free bottle of Clarity with your order. Clarity is a nootropic mushroom blend of lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps, and turkey tail designed to support brain function and mental performance. I have not personally tested Clarity yet, but I'm excited to give it a shot. And check it out. That's Protect, that's PROTEKT.com/Tim for a free bottle of Clarity with your purchase of Protect Rest. One more time, PROTEKT.com/Tim. Optimal minimal.
At this altitude, I can run flat out for a half mile before my hands start shaking.
Can I ask you a personal question?
Now would seem an appropriate time.
What if I did the opposite?
I'm a cybernetic organism, living tissue over a metal endoskeleton.
Tim Ferriss Show.
Hello, boys and girls, ladies and germs. This is Tim Ferriss. Welcome to another episode of The Tim Ferriss Show, where my job is to interview and deconstruct world-class performers. I get a 2-for-1 In this episode, I have brothers David Liberman and Daniil Liberman. They're both entrepreneurs and investors, one-of-a-kind entrepreneurs and investors with a close partnership spanning 16 years. They gained valuable experience at Snap, contributing to projects involving avatars, Bitmoji animation, and product operations. They are currently based in LA, where their primary focus is on building Product Science, a service dedicated to optimizing mobile apps. I'm going to pause here and just say there's a lot more to this story and this conversation than the bio I am reading. We get into crossbows. We get into Russian mobsters. We get into some of the craziest stories, honestly, I think I have ever heard. So take everything I'm saying as just a preview of one dimension of 17 dimensions that we will share. Moving on, the Liberman brothers have established the Liberman's Company, referred to as a people company, through their commitment to the Founders Pledge. They've allocated all future earnings and economic value for the next 3 decades to Liberman's Co., including founder shares of Product Science and potential returns from future investments. Some of you may recognize the Liberman brothers from a fascinating profile in the New Yorker on selling shares in yourself. What might that look like? What can that look like? What might it look like to invest in other people for their future earnings, etc.? They have a lot of wild ideas, a lot of great ideas, and you can find them online at libermans.co. That's spelled Libermans, libermans.co. You can find them on Instagram at Libermans, so Libermans, and there's a lot in the show notes. There's going to be a lot in the show notes here, so be sure to check out the links after the episode at tim.blog/podcast. And without further ado, please enjoy this very wide-ranging conversation with none other than the very one-of-a-kind, unique Liberman brothers. Gentlemen, David, Daniil, if I'm getting that right, nice to see you again.
Pleasure to see you.
So where did you grow up, and what did childhood look like?
So the two of us were born in Moscow, still Soviet Union at that time, to a family of the very known neuroscientists, biophysicists, who, like, the family were sort of like upper middle class for the Soviet measure. But as soon as the Soviet Union collapsed, with the Soviet Union, the family collapsed to the below poverty type of situation, because our dad was born in 1925. So in 1990, he was pretty old already, and didn't had a chance to adapt to the new reality.
And it was 6 of us.
It was six elementary school kids. So a complicated situation. Both of parents had to continue the work as they wanted, actually, to finalize and finish the work of their life, and at the same time somehow survive and feed kids and like get some clothes for us and stuff.
And it's like 6 of us, 1 year apart.
Our mom was she was busy with making her breakthrough works in how neurons works and the signaling system in the neurons. At the same time, having 6 of us in 8 years, less than in 8 years.
How does any human do that? So let alone a mom, not to get us into all these confusing gender waters, but let's just say for the time being, mom, primary caregiver, would that be fair to say?
Yes.
So how did she manage both the scientific exploration with this groundbreaking work and 6 kids? I can barely manage 1 dog.
As they always...
what qualifies as my job. So how did she do that?
I think that after the 4th one, we kind of a little bit managed ourselves.
Right.
But still, it's not the answer or the question.
No, there was a grandma and grandpa from time to time. So from time to time, they would drop half of us at the grandpa and grandma's place, and then took the half of us with them to the laboratory. That's how we
spend a lot of time
surrounded by the fish and snails.
we were surrounded by all this equipment.
Lasers.
They got first PCs much earlier than anyone else. That's why we also were quite excited about that. And I think that in general they were super passionate about their work. That's what we definitely picked from our parents.
And about each other. So there were 6 of us.
It's a full team, yeah. It's a full soccer team. So you have lots of excitement, maybe lots of chaos. You have goldfish snail grandparents. lasers. Sounds like a pretty awesome setup for curious kids.
For curious kids.
Honestly. And what did you pick up on intellectually as a way of thinking from your parents? And I ask that because I know both of you, for instance, and I'm not trying to lead with this question, but pay a lot of attention to data. You're sort of geeks for parsing the data, whether it's to like refine how you think about or identify problems, and then also how you might solve problems. What did you observe in your parents or pick up from them when it came to how they thought about things?
Now that you said that, I realized that our parents were doing those experiments, which required them years of repeating the same stuff, like trying to get data which would make sense on top of their hypothesis of how everything works. So I guess we've been surrounded by the piles of papers with just numbers. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Literally, I remember this.
And you know, like this, how was it called?
The cards,
like
the perfect cards.
Like the punch cards.
The punch cards, yes, the punch cards. Like everywhere, the punch cards. Before the PC was there, they were like this huge type recording machines with all this data as well. But what's interesting, both of them was always challenging the status quo of the current understanding of science.
So if just someone claims something and you cannot really prove it for yourself with data, probably something is missing and you need to dig deeper.
And that's how they lived, and they had their own discussions with everyone around. And we sort of picked it up. As we were growing already, like, I don't know, 15-ish years old, our dad was even older. So he needed someone to escort him to the conferences and like meetings of scientists. Just basically like it's Moscow in winter and the roads are icy. I don't know, 5-6 months a year, like something like this. So he needed someone to basically help him get there. And being there all the time, we saw his conversations with the rest of the scientific community in his institute, as they were just like laughing out of nowhere. I mean, just like basically, oh yeah, of course. Like again, Liberman is talking about the quantum nature of the consciousness, blah 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 blah, something like that. And we were like looking at this, and it's like, why? He has some ideas and proofs. So it was sort of resistance to the rest of the world. We felt his resistance, and we like were challenged with this as well. Like, oh, we're gonna prove everyone.
Lieberman's against the world.
Lieberman's against the world. Yeah, exactly.
All right, so we're gonna leapfrog from that. As far as a next logical place, I mean, I like hopping around because I see things on paper. I find certain things exciting to talk about, and then we can fill in the gaps. So I'm just going to actually answer my own question, and I'm going to take you to around, and then we can fill in the gaps as we go. So you're around 18 to 19 years old, and you're presenting to Russian Parliament. What are you presenting about, and how is the reception?
So a little bit of background. So
Sure.
After Soviet Union collapsed, the entire population of the country even lost their savings in the banks like twice during the decade. So it was a quite harsh time for everyone. And for us, it was really strange. Like we weren't able to understand how with all the modern technologies, with computers and etc., how it's all like how all this corruption and how it's even possible. Because definitely,
can just disappear.
Yes, definitely some technologies
should be there
to solve these problems.
We had internet pretty early, and we were hackers. I mean, it was at that time of the internet era when everything was possible. Access to everything was possible. So at that moment, we read lots of the hackers' manifestos and some like libertarian ideas wandering around the internet, and we saw all these ideas of decentralized type of data storage, which can be
Protected.
bulletproof from
various attacks
and modifications, like falsifications.
Right, it's resilient against falsification.
Yes, resilient against falsification, like a blockchain type of ideas before Satoshi actually released his first paper on the blockchain, which was never the one word. It was like block, like chain of blocks.
But BitTorrents and other type of decentralized storages existed even before.
Ideas about this were circulating over the internet. So with this combination of those ideas, we came up to a solution, as we saw it, for eradicating corruption in Russia to make all of the governmental expenses completely transparent.
Stored on the people's
and
machines.
stored in the people's machines, so that none of the corrupt officials can actually even do anything with the data. So we are presenting this idea, and pretty soon, when people realize what we are talking about, they basically asked us to go out. Just like
shut down the mic.
Shut down the mic. It's like, the meeting is over. Thank you so much.
Sorry, we're having some technical difficulties. You can step off the stage.
And then the guy who was actually
who invited us.
He was some sort of a deputy for the head of the party at the time. At the time, there was multiple parties, like United Russia. But this guy came,
approached
us in the corridor saying, boys, I can see you are very smart. And all these ideas are just brilliant. But stop talking about this bullshit. Otherwise, someone will kill you. No, not us. Like, we're good guys. But there are bad people who are making lots of money. And this is against what they want.
Okay. So now at that point, do you pretty immediately pivot to something else?
Pretty immediately we realize that what we need to pivot into is grassrooting those ideas instead of trying to make them top to bottom approach.
Instead of being the missionaries of anti-corruption.
Yes.
Distribute the risk a bit.
Yes.
No, it started to be quite clear that people in the government are not those people who really can adapt those ideas. It was another story to that in a week after that, they actually invited us again to come. And like, we came in and they asked us to work on a project. And we said, well, like, what is a project? And said, oh, you mentioned something about decentralization and how decentralization can be anonymous at the same time. Can you create an anonymous HR agency which will sell seats in government?
And we were like, wait, what? He's like, yes. So imagine people who actually making lots of money and who's capable of paying lots of money for a seat in the government. They are people who business.
Can manage better than us.
They manage better, they can manage stuff better than us. So just from the street, just happened to be here just by chance because someone was like a friend of someone. So if we actually invite people who did something in business and have money to pay for the position in government, they can do a better job for the country.
And our first reaction was like, do you really have a
price list for that? He's like, yes, for sure. Like, can you give us an example? And the guy was like,
Deputy Minister of Finance was $500,000, and Minister of Healthcare, Ecology was $3 million.
The question was immediately, why? Ecology? No one gives a shit about ecology in Russia. What? He's like, exactly. That's how the person who will take the position will have a return on investment pretty much.
They use all these fancy words.
They'll get their money back pretty much in a year on bribes.
So we quite soon realized that they are...
You were like, appreciate the invitation.
Appreciate the invitation. Never call us again.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That was our reaction. But yes, that was a moment when we decided to pivot to building our own businesses and
making our own money,
gathering
resources, and then building type of technologies ourselves.
And then you can buy the Ministry of Ecology soon.
One day. Or we can do the revolution or something like that.
Now at that point, while you're observing all of this, and it's imprinting your young minds, are you thinking eventually we are going to want to build businesses somewhere else? Or did you anticipate that you would be building in Russia for the foreseeable future? How were you thinking about things at that point?
For us, somehow, at this particular moment, it was still unreachable. The idea that we can fly somewhere and build businesses there. Mm-hmm. It's only years after that we start to be more confident in our abilities and start to think about that.
It was miserable. The first time we flew to United States just on our own, miserable experience. Very low level, poor level of English. No understanding whatsoever what the country looks like and what's going on.
We're trying to raise investment.
We were trying to raise investment. Miserable.
That sounds like a hard slog of a first trip.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so at the time then, you're just focused on building businesses. And what type of business were you building at that point?
We had ideas. 2001,
even
2002,
before that, our first company was an ISP, Internet Service Provider. we wanted to have a good internet connection,
At
and it
home?
was super unaffordable, like $5,000 to connect your apartment.
Wow.
So, like,
That sounds very unreachable for most people.
super useful for us,
Especially
as well.
for the family of 8 people who was making like a couple $100 a month for the household. It was unreachable. So at some point we realized that if we want to have such level of internet at our own apartment, what we can do, we can go through all of the neighbors. And it was like, what, 1,600 apartments in the
Small district.
small district?
Yeah.
Like
It's quite
the
dense.
neighborhood.
the neighborhoods,
Yeah.
like a dense neighborhoods of Novi, Cheremishki, and Moscow. And we literally rang all the doorbells. And we're like, the question was like, do you have a computer? If the answer was yes, do you know what internet is? If the answer was no, like, okay, let us explain you. Let's have some tea. And we were literally sneaking into people's apartment and starting to explain them what they are losing by not having internet already connected to their computer.
So we pre-sold
Pretty
a couple
soon we
hundred
pre-sold couple hundred
of
contracts. And with that, we were like, okay, we can now go to the bank, get a, how's it called?
A loan?
Consumer loan,
Mhm.
just like a basically consumer loan. And we use the money to buy all the equipment, to buy the cable, like the fiber,
Yeah, fiber optic cable.
fiber optic cable, and basically connect all these households. And people paid, and we covered the loan pretty fast. Like
it still was a quite challenging project.
So I'm
yeah.
wondering just what you're buying with the loans. You're buying like servers, sticking them in a bathroom, or like how is it being connected to the existing infrastructure?
First, we needed to basically someone to bring the cable in. It was the most expensive part of the
Or
operation.
like digging trenches.
Like digging
So
trenches.
we
We hired the engineering team. We were lucky because the largest communication hub for the Moscow internet was basically 2 kilometers away from us.
That's great luck.
It's a great luck.
And we because our parents from science, we were in the part of Moscow where
Where
most of
lots
the
of scientists
scientists
was-
were in, like universities were there as well, and that's why internet first emerged at this part.
So we hired these people, the engineering team, to bring the cable, and then by night mostly, we were connecting 20-story buildings to each other by shooting the cable using the athletic air ball.
No, it just
Oh, like a crossbow?
Crossbow. Yeah, crossbow.
Yes, it's just local officials. They were bribed by the bigger player, and they didn't allow us to actually.
They wouldn't give us the keys.
Get
for the-
into the roofs and to properly
Yeah,
set the cables.
competition.
Competition was there, even though we had the license,
License,
and by
like-
law they couldn't prohibit us to do this,
Right.
but they were like not allowing us. That's why at night we would sneak onto the roof, like pretty dangerous operation of getting onto the roof even without having an access through the door. And then from the roof to the roof, we basically were like putting these cables on
was
our
fun
own,
times.
using the crossbows, shooting from one roof to another roof.
This company was then acquired by a bigger player. There was a significant consolidation on the market.
Between the Ninja crossbow expansion and the acquisition, how long did that take?
2 years, like
2
3
years.
years. Yeah.
All right, moving fast.
Then later on, we realized that what we actually need to do is supercomputing. Like we were like, we are smart in mathematics, we can write algorithms, and this is something like we foreseen the future of cloud computing using like machines in internet to parallelize, compute. This was our idea originally. Then we realized that it's impossible to do in Russia type of the business, and we decided that what we can do, we can start building games.
Now, before you go on, was the computer science and like whatever coding experience you had, was that self-taught? Was it school? Was it parents?
Our college degree is computer science, but in reality, in Russia at this moment, no one will really teach you properly computer science because your teachers would know less than
You would.
I see.
If you have internet,
If you're motivated.
if you're
Yes,
motivated,
so we were lucky because of our parents were scientists. We got PCs at our home much earlier than most of our peers. We got internet in our home much earlier than most of our peers, and we were super excited about this
we were
technology.
curious and how to say naughty. So we would break the computers all the time, and we had to fix them all the time for the parents to continue their work. And that's how we actually learned how to
We built our first website for our guild in
online game
games,
guild, like Ultima Online.
And,
Great choice. Curious and Naughty. That can be the name of your autobiography. The life and times of the Liberman. Okay, so you have the consolidation, and then you decide to focus on games after that. And what form did that take?
We played online, Ultima Online. We were super excited about this type of games. We thought that this is a revolution because people just hang out there. There is no like aim, or you don't need to just kill all the enemies. There is just people hang out
Sandbox.
there.
You can have a marriage there, build a house.
Like
Second Life
Roblox
type
and
of
like
feeling.
Second Life,
Instead of Doom.
So
We were very excited about this, but had to play only overnight because of dial-up connection, and the phone was for everyone in the apartment. For us at night. That's why we actually wanted the better internet all the time. And that's how the ISP started.
So then when we decided to build such game, at that moment, this idea was really not popular. You even can find some quotes from CEO of Electronic Arts who would say like online games is just a niche market. No one will play online games and all this stuff.
He actually officially admitted he was wrong.
So
That's very, I suppose,
honest.
Yeah. A lot of people don't own those
Like
things.
he was super cool in that. He was like, I said that, I was wrong. Like, now we are in the game.
And we tried to launch several, one time failed our own savings.
Spend all of our own savings.
Was out soon. But then World of Warcraft was released, and we were the only ones who were
for years trying to raise money for such type of the project, and that's how
we got all the attention at this moment, and we raised our first.
So
money.
World of Warcraft comes out. It's a proof of concept.
Yes.
For what you are also trying to pursue in a way.
Not only proof of concept, it was the first game ever netting $1 billion of profit a year.
I think people outside of games also today do not realize how big the numbers are. Like the opening weekend for the new Call of Duty compared to like every Hollywood blockbuster for a 6-month period or something like that. The numbers are astronomical.
This market is really for years larger than the movie market. Yeah, but 15 years ago, it wasn't
as obvious.
Yes,
but it was already obvious that it can make lots of money. So we were able to convince some of the investors.
Investors tend to like that.
Yes.
And we got a lot of attention, grew pretty fast to 150 to 100 employees in different times. But then 2008 crisis came and just it's all.
And we were not ready. I mean, World of Warcraft, it took Blizzard, the top game development studio in the world. That's what we didn't realize when we started. It took them like 6 years to build the game.
Quite complicated.
With an army.
With an army and unlimited resources. And us, we were like, we can do it with like a couple $1 million. Okay, we were miserable in this in this case, but honestly, in this experience, we realized that we can be cool in developing sort of hacking our way through the challenges, inventing new stuff, inventing how we can build
new type of processes
and technologies, and etc. And even though we bankrupted the company in 2009, I remember March 2009, I had to fire everyone, like 150 people in one day.
Sounds fun.
Super fun.
The most challenging experience
of our life. And then 3-4 months later, we already started an animation studio and used all of the ideas which came to our mind during this period. Like, we can actually do this and this and that. We wouldn't do this in the games, but we can do this in the animation process.
So you're able to take things from the failed gaming studio and transfer them over into the...
In terms of experience.
Mostly the
experience of like lesson was learned. We knew how to do stuff better as we were progressing from knowing nothing when we started to basically having like a pretty sophisticated production process. We immediately reinvented the animation process. So we basically took the guy who was experienced in producing 3D graphics and was like, okay, why don't we change it all? Why don't we take what you know and then try to figure out how to make it much more efficient.
How did you decide on that?
It was a super challenging time. The company was bankrupt. By that time, we actually already were quite successful in different stuff. Already had a venture
firm.
Raised $30 million to the venture firm. But this venture firm was took over
by our investors of the game studio.
So it's like a Russian style. Like people with the guns on the cars.
Literally people
and
on the security people from the persons arrived to the office, took us in the black cars, driving us to the underground of the office building in the middle of Moscow.
So
and then threatening us that they will kill us and our family because they know where everyone lives unless we will return the money.
So this type of business experience.
Hardline, strict investors.
In that moment, we knew that we need to, with the new project, we need to do something fast because we still had some obligations in place, which we just fired because we haven't paid the salary for last months.
Okay, right. So you had outstanding debt to the employees.
The
outstanding debt was like $500,000. And we were still living with our parents.
So we knew that that we don't want to have investors anymore. And they see like all this experience which we had. We wanted to do something which can generate cash right away, not like
enough apartment building basements. That was enough.
A friend of ours, who is a famous actress in Russia, she told the CEO, the president of Channel 1, which is like NBC or Russia, like the largest network.
Or like one of the BBC channels in the UK 20 years ago.
Exactly.
That we can do magic with
She told
graphics.
him that we can do magic with the computer graphics.
How did you become friends with the actress?
Friends of friends introduced us, and like we basically become super cool friends. We were like writing scripts together for the future movies and stuff. So
But in reality, I'm not sure that she really knew that we can do that. What the CEO
But she was very confident in selling
She knew that we fixed her internet
many times.
Many times.
Goes a long way, keeping somebody online.
Yes.
So she sells this head of this primary channel that you guys can do. You can work magic with.
We work magic with graphics.
And
we actually were doing magic with graphics, but for games.
And he wanted to create a political satire show, which would be based on the last week events, which is impossible. Animation usual production cycle is 9 to 12 months.
South Park is actually like 3-4 months, but then they leave this several minutes for something topical, which they can produce over a couple of weeks right before the episode is released. Like they're doing this trick.
And that's South Park. They're the fastest.
They're the fastest. Exactly.
And we invented the production process, which allowed us to produce half-hour animated show, 3D graphics in 1 week.
How did you do that?
The interesting part was we just basically disassembled the entire process on smaller pieces and parallelized them. This idea of decentralization and parallelization was like, we couldn't live it.
So rather than an assembly line type of production, you're like, how many of these can we have running in parallel?
And we found out
Were you able to borrow resources from the channel to work on those parallels?
No. We actually, at the time, were able to borrow resources from IBM.
Okay, how's that work?
A friend of ours was the president of IBM of Russia.
And we agreed that
And
they
he
would
was
be
a
able...
DJ in the club.
He was
During the
we knew
weekends.
him.
That's how we knew the guy. So during the
Moral of the story, you
weekends,
never know who's DJing at the club. Make friends.
The DJing at night and during the weekends, and then
He's
being
in a suit.
and in a suit like a serious president of IBM during the weekdays.
That's crazy.
That's
All
crazy.
right.
And the guy was like, I fucking love what you're doing. So I'm sorry, can I say this?
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, yes, I'll give you the equipment. And they gave us I don't know, what was it?
It was around $1 million worth of servers. With the idea that they will give us this equipment, not permanently, but for some time for free. In exchange, that IBM will use the fact that the show was created with
The
IBM.
most innovative show was created
But
using
then
IBM equipment.
they gave us equipment, but IBM decided that it's too political.
The head office,
and they never even used it.
Because the show was political satire in Russia. So the headquarters in the United States was like, no, we don't.
That does
want
not
our...
sound low risk.
They allowed us to use the equipment, but never put the logo in there.
Okay, so they allow you to use the equipment, and then was the president just like, look, we're going to forget it's there for a while. You guys can use it?
Yes, yes, it was exactly like
Very
that. So
helpful, DJ.
we made the first season using that equipment. The Channel One paid us like $3 million for the first season, and with that money, we were able to buy all the equipment we
because
needed.
you
for
owed
one
like
season.
$500,000 to the employees.
Yes, it was advance payment. So we came to Channel One and said, like, we need advance payment. They're like, why? It was like the processes, and we basically paid the debts.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So what happens then? You have this parallel processing that's working with your semi-permanently borrowed IBM machines from the DJ. You make $3 million. You manage to negotiate prepayment, so you satisfy your outstanding debts to paying the ex-employees. And then what?
This was the first time when we actually start to earn enough of our own funds, and we return to our ideas that we need to think about
How to fight the corruption.
how to fight the corruption, what type of technologies can be created to.
Were you guys not afraid?
Honestly, the part of us not being afraid probably somehow was related to our dad was never afraid of whoever was challenging him. But at the same time, back in 2000, as we finished the school, we knew that if we have all these ideas of changing the world, it's gonna be impossible if we just stay home, play computer games and stuff. So we decided we would go to some business trainings, personal development trainings, fear trainings. We started challenging ourselves in developing ourselves, and by 2005, we spent like 4 years developing our own internal equanimity.
So let's talk about this equanimity for a second, because this is super important. And it's sort of the enabler or the handicapper, the lack of it being a handicapper in so many different capacities. And I would say a lot of the people listening to this are going to be from the US, and fortunately for them, they've never had the experience of being under a political regime where people disappear. But I've spent a lot of time in South America, or poisoned, or fill in the blank. Yeah, disappears in quotation marks.
Yes.
But what you realize is there are political regimes all around the world, very common, where people routinely are killed, poisoned, or otherwise made to disappear. So the risks were very real for you. And these are not conspiracy theories, like there were actual threats. So was the lack of fear a lack of fear of death, or was it a belief that you could extricate yourself or avoid any type of like really significant consequence, or something else?
There are 3 answers to that. A, yes, we don't afraid to die.
Okay.
Somehow don't. I mean, this is like, you die, that's it. Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
B, somehow, and it actually really helped with the bandits in 2009 when they came to ask for all of their money invested in the game back. We knew that it's their way of threatening you, and they want you to be afraid. They want you to fear. And that's how you're on the hook.
As soon as you show
That's how
the
you're
fear,
controlled.
that's when they like hook you and you owe them forever. And we showed them that like, okay, kill us, whatever. I mean, like, you will never get your money back. And the other case, like, we can probably work it out somehow.
We learned through this experience that actually, if you don't show the fear, it's much safer than if you show. It's a little bit like with
Like
lions.
blood in the water.
Yes.
Blood in the water,
yes.
yeah. But then the third one is when it comes to the political systems, let's say particularly the Russian political system, for the KGB people who were actually running the country at that time, like Putin is ex-head of KGB. That's the only thing which we all should understand. That's a country run by KGB people. Yes, they call themselves FSB, but who's to give a shit? It's KGB. It's the same guys who NKVD, like, who were just basically killing people 60, 50 years before that in Russia, after the war, before the war. So when it comes to them, they see 2 types of people who are playing against them. It's either enemies or idiots. Fools.
Enemies or
Like,
idiots.
enemies
or
or
fools.
like
Okay.
spies.
Like,
Your eyes work on
you either work for CIA,
or you're an idiot.
or you're an idiot who was convinced by CIA to fight against them, and you're just like fool who like
Yeah, you're a pawn.
a pawn. So we played the pawn card. We're like, let's show ourselves as if we're stupid, and we were completely transparent about all of our ideas from the very beginning, saying like they will just see us as fools,
Town lunatics.
town
This
lunatics.
strategy
worked.
Particular time. At the time,
It was
the
just so
strategy
rare that they're like, oh, these guys are just crazy.
No, it's because we made it transparently. If you are a CIA agent, you will try to hide. But if you like transfer money to the biggest oppositioneer, like you probably
Hiding in plain
idiot.
sight.
Yes.
Hiding in plain sight. And they're like, oh, idiots. They spend their money. Okay, whatever. We'll just steal this money from the oppositioner anyway, so fools. That was the situation. So for us, the shield for all those years was like, they believe we're just idiots.
Just a quick thanks to one of our sponsors, and we'll be right back to the show. This episode is brought to you by AG1, the daily foundational nutritional supplement that supports whole body health. And I do get asked a lot what I would take if I could only take one supplement. And the true answer is invariably AG1. It simply covers a ton of bases. I usually drink it in the mornings and frequently take their travel packs with me on the road. So what is AG1? AG1 is a science-driven formulation of vitamins, probiotics, and whole food sourced nutrients. In a single scoop, AG1 gives you support for the brain, gut, and immune system. So take ownership of your health and try AG1 today. You will get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first subscription purchase. So learn more, check it out. Go to drinkag1.com/Tim. That's drinkag1, the number 1, drinkag1.com/Tim. Last time, drinkag1.com/Tim. Check it out. All right, we may come back to this, but I want to make sure I don't lose the thread. So the graphics for this political satire seems to be working pretty well. You return to your ideas from prior, which is how we got here. So thinking about anti-corruption and things like that. And then
also we started our move to United States. We already established our presence in Los Angeles because of animation
2010.
in 2010 and started to move all attention to
So we were like,
United States.
nothing good gonna happen in the country. It's run by the KGB, and they're not going to release their grasp over the country unless it's gonna be like a revolution type of situation, which we saw that even opposition, they were trying to play the political game, and it was a lost game from the very beginning. So we knew that the show, political satire on largest TV network in Russia, is not going to last more than the term of puppet President Medvedev. That's exactly what happened. Like, as soon as Putin get back to his position, like, the show was shut down immediately. So we knew it's gonna end, and we knew that we need to spend all of the money which we'll make from this in order to transit to United States.
So 2 questions, and it might seem obvious to you guys, but I think for a lot of people listening, they might wonder, well, why not Europe? Why not somewhere else? Why the US? And then how hard was it, or how easy, to start to move your lives to the US?
In Europe, especially animation industry, is
it's mostly subsidized
by government. So you actually need to deal with bureaucrats, and you need to get any funding. In like the private sector, almost doesn't exist.
So I would say that makes it very hard for immigrants.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
And it was always like, if you're not
local, you need to work with local studios, and they should get this funding. And like
we started developing the relationship, but even faster we realized that in Hollywood we have all the chances. And pretty quickly we were introduced to people who would then introduce us to the agencies, and William Morris Endeavor signed up with us January 2010, half a year after we started the company.
It's still a challenging process. Any immigration is a challenging process. It took us 6 years for people to really take us seriously and to get to the same type of level of professional acceptance like than we had back in Moscow.
But we found our ways.
But at least it is possible here. Like in Europe or like in UK, you would never become...
You would never be able to spend only 5-6 years and get into the major Hollywood studios to be
equal.
Yeah, California's, California has a lot of downsides, but it's one of the upsides is like this is true in a lot of the U.S. Like no one is discriminating against green, and people like opportunity, and also California. A lot of people don't realize part of the reason Silicon Valley worked is that California also makes it very hard to enforce non-compete contracts, right? So there are opportunities everywhere of all different types.
Yeah, we agree with it completely. This
was our like,
cornerstone.
also observations that it's all about like non-competes, that they are not enforceable, that this allow you to actually work at Google, write your own search engine at night, and then launch your own search engine, and Google cannot do really anything.
There's
with
a
you.
lot of
And
free flow of
free
talent,
flow, yes,
which makes it hard sometimes to retain talent in Silicon Valley, but that's a whole separate story. So you land in LA, you have introductions to people at, say, William Morris Endeavor and other places. What happens as that momentum starts building?
We actually had a pretty good success working with different studios and different big names like Jimmy Fallon. We worked on the show with him.
At some point, we met with the guy who used to be Jon Stewart's head writer, and he just moved back from New York to Los Angeles, and was sort of available-ish. He wasn't for a year, but then a year later he was available, and we took our chance to become friends over the year. And then when he became available, like, Josh, why don't you work with us? And we managed to convince him because we showed him how fast we actually can produce animation. Even like William Morris Endeavor or Josh, even being a friend for us for like a year, they never actually believed that we can produce animation in 1 week. And we had to prove it like literally by saying like, Josh, are you serious? Okay, just let's write a script right now, a one-pager. You will write one-pager joke.
And in a week you will
you will have it in animation. And that's what we did. And it was like, whoa, you guys were saying
You
true.
guys can actually do it.
You guys can actually do it. Like,
Before that, he worked at Simpson before Jon Stewart, and at Simpson's like 12 months. of
like a
production,
year.
like,
And
9
you're like,
months
you're
of
making a joke, and it's already old, a year-old joke. And with us, there was an opportunity for him to make jokes, which are super current.
So it was cool, but on the other hand, really wanted to focus more on the technologies which can transform society. And plus, Hollywood wasn't really our thing. You know, like
There are some trade-offs.
yes,
There are lots
no
of
one
trade-offs.
cares about technologies, especially that time. You know, like it's before Netflix and before all the stuff. No one cared about technologies. No one cares that you faster and cheaper. No one
We
cared about
realized
like
it
who is
too late.
your like producers and like all
Divorce
this, divorce
lawyers.
lawyers and all this stuff.
Wait. How does the divorce lawyer fit in?
We don't know, but people in Hollywood say so.
Oh wait, you need to know divorce lawyers?
Yes,
because they know people, like
everyone.
they know like the power dynamics.
This
and, like,
is good for me to know.
There's
Okay.
like a power dynamic of like the divorce lawyers who control.
Oh, I picked up a new stratagem today. Thank you.
Exactly. And
Okay,
we're like,
divorce
wait, what?
lawyers.
So
And
we
eventually
then
we-
knew all the lawyers, and we started to know the people, and we started to meet the people, and eventually we deconstructed what the show needed to be in order to come to a meeting at Fox.
At that point, then you're pitching your own show.
Yes. So we get to the point understanding that we cannot sell our technology. We have to sell the entire show.
Package.
We should package voice
The Trojan
actors.
horse with the technology inside.
Exactly. We took it all. Like that's why we needed Josh, because we needed a head writer. That like we took the voice actors, we took like the best concept artists, like to combine this all and then produce a pilot, like a literal final quality pilot, and brought it to Fox. And who was it? Susanna Makis at the time. She was like, wow, I love it. Because we actually knew what she likes, who she likes,
what type of artist?
what type of artist, what I like. We like engineered it all, data, and then
Went to a
brought-
custom tailor to put together a pilot for her.
Yes, exactly.
But it was also some misfortune
Misfortune.
time because still like Putin get back to power, so our show was cancelled back in Russia. In 2013, the banking crisis in Cyprus, all our
Deleted.
money was nationalized. So by
All
that
of our
time we
money.
had
So wait, hold on a second. So Cyprus, so does that mean that you had moved your finances from
Russia.
From Russia
to
to
Cyprus? And then it was out of the
Nowhere.
pan and into the fire.
yes,
And then Cyprus got nationalized. It was like,
All of
oh,
it.
it's the
All
same
of the
story
bank
all
accounts.
over again.
yes,
Same story
almost
all
like
over again.
$6 million like earned.
Oh,
And
like-
all of a sudden, we couldn't pay anyone in the United States. No voice actors, no screenwriters. We couldn't pay anyone. Immediately, it all fell apart.
So did you get the green light for the
Yes.
pilot?
Yes.
And then Cyprus?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
Bye-bye fuel.
Bye-bye fuel. And we tried to think what we can do in Hollywood more for like half a year. But then we realized it will take us another 4 or 5 years to recover because there's no money. There's like
Yeah.
nothing in there. So like, screw it, we're not going to stay in Hollywood, let's move to Silicon Valley.
And we moved to Menlo Park at that moment.
Right in the middle.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
And also, we really already wanted to return to our real ideas. We started with transparency again. We decided that we can do a trick, that we can actually not target governments to become transparent, but target nonprofits. Why we don't see how nonprofits actually spend our money? It's kind of obvious. It's not your personal money. It's we all together gather these funds to make
Change.
the world a better place. So we created a transparent banking platform for nonprofits.
For many reasons, we were wrong about the ability and readiness of
The appetite.
The appetite, exactly. The appetite for the nonprofits.
But this was also the times when we realized that some of the challenges, which fundamental challenges which we saw in economy, actually they were true in the United States as well. Not only in Europe, not only in Russia, not only in Israel, but in the United States as well. And we realized that even with the nonprofit transparency, if you will look at research of what actually donors want, you will see that the previous generations of donors, they don't really want to see where the money spent. It's almost the last.
Don't tell.
Yes, it's almost the last item in the list of their preferences, is their requirements. But our generation and generations younger, they actually is on the first place. We want to see what happened with
the dynamic of thinking behind this is that for the older generation, they donate money because it's a give back for them. They're
so society gives them a lot.
It's feeling good versus doing good.
Yes. And for the youngest, it's given forward. We want to change what's bad right now, and we want to see it's changing now.
Also, actually, previous generations got a lot from society in terms of form of free education, almost free college education, 30 years ago, anything like that. New generation being hammered with student debts, etc. They don't really feel that society gave them much, but they really still donate the same portion
share
than the older generation, but it's just different reason for do that.
I feel like some of the younger generations here, younger than me, get a bad reputation for misunderstood reasons, or I should say they're misunderstood in the sense that, I know you guys have spoken about this before, but if you look at, say, previous generations' ability to get a higher education, put a down payment on a house and pay for a mortgage, compared to some of the more recent generations, it's night and day. So it's important to factor that into how you evaluate them. So question for you guys with looking at the nonprofit and the platform, right? You're very good at, it seems like, letting go of ideas, having a light grasp on ideas if things are not working, so you can move to something else that you think might work better. That's not true for everyone. Right? Some people get very attached to one thing and they want to ride it until they die, and they get attached to things that may never work. And I'm wondering how you think about changing direction, maybe failure in quotation marks. What allows you to do that so readily?
We learned the hard way. So the game studio, we grasp. And we try.
You know that if you don't stop at the right moment, you can actually get to a deep shit.
Yeah, you can get into a hole.
Yes. But also what we saw in the data is that in what we realized also through the experience of game development failure and then animation success, that we realized that
it is not always about your abilities.
So you can fail just because of different reasons, like financial crisis and
like poker, right?
The time
you
not
have
right.
to study the decision making, not just the outcomes.
Yes, in the statistics of venture startups is that 2/3 will fail,
completely fail, losing all the money.
Yeah, zero.
And if you will look at all these failures, there are rare exceptions, but in most cases, what you should see is that if your startup is growing, you should continue. You should double down, put your all attention there, etc.
If it's not,
if it's stop
and
growing,
probably
you should stop and quit and start another one.
If we look at this purely from the perspective of statistics, if it's not doubled the growth, if whatever numbers behind your understanding of your business isn't doubled, didn't double, how to say, isn't double.
Yeah, didn't double. Over what period of time?
Over 14 months?
14 months. Why
Then
14 months? I have to ask.
It's pure statistics.
Like if you look at the statistics,
If you look
it's
at
just,
all those failures
I see. That's the
and
pattern.
successes,
Is over that
it's like
period
a
of time.
pattern. They should basically
Doubling
take,
over 14 months.
if you take all of them and divide, then just 14 months.
because if you're also not growing with this space, venture capital will not be accessible to you, and you won't be able to actually raise money, use funds to grow further, and things like that. So this market is actually a pretty special in terms of these probabilities. Like just 1 out of 100
Is going to be
big
unicorn.
success. And if you don't see trajectory to get there,
Probably you're not getting
the
there.
right thing is just to stop and start something new.
And knowing that your chances are 1 in 100, you should try as many attempts as possible.
Take more shots on goal.
Moreover, like we usually show to the young
Wannabe
people
entrepreneurs.
want to be entrepreneurs. We show this picture of Mark Zuckerberg or Evan Spiegel, who made into success from the first attempt.
Dropping out from the college, and look, they're billionaires.
Most of the
Success
billion-dollar
are not
companies
like
created
that.
not like that. It's created by people who failed
Multiple
times and then got to success. In terms of statistics, this is what we should observe with these things. Definitely something depends on your abilities to execute, etc. But there are things which
Totally.
independent from
Man, I
you.
remember angel investing starting in 2008 and seeing business models, companies that couldn't execute in a period of time because the technology just wasn't there and the adoption wasn't there. And then 5-6 years later, basically the exact same company, but a few things have changed. Mobile phones have become more powerful. A handful of protocols have been developed, and then boom, it works.
Uber is mobile phone with GPS.
Yeah, you're right.
Yes,
right.
with wide enough adoption. And it was tried. These ideas were
Online
tried
taxi
before.
earlier.
Ordering or taxi online? Yes, for
didn't
sure. It's
work.
been there.
Yeah, totally.
And because of that, like, especially because we really we balance ourselves between sometimes when we work on some forward-looking ideas, like
Flying cars.
on
rockets
something
to
which is not
Mars.
happening yet. And also we work on some projects which down to earth, which already something which is happening. And we know that with these projects which are not there yet, yes, there is the chance to win big, but this chance is small. And there is a lot of timing
very
issues.
binary.
And you can lose just because timing is not right. And we, as Daniil mentioned, we learned it hard way. With a game development studio, it was really hard for us to stop, even though it was obvious that probably
We were
need to stop.
lucky with the animation studio, and then another unfortunate event was losing all of the money just in banking crisis in Cyprus. And we stopped pretty fast. I mean, we're like, are we going to spend time recovering, or are we just starting something new?
Yeah, when Silicon Valley bank crisis happened, we were among really small group of our friends founders. All this time, we were obsessed
With
on
diversifying money.
money on different banks, and everyone would tell us that, in the
is
United
stupid.
States, you shouldn't think about that
Don't worry
stuff.
about it.
Don't
Can't
worry
happen.
about this.
It can't happen. Cannot just because
but,
cannot. And we're like, right.
Surprise. We are not immune from all the problems we've seen other places. All right, so I'm gonna zoom out for a second because I like to think about sort of meta decisions that span across a lot of other decisions and projects and so on. So the two of you living one life, we have to talk about this. I've never seen an example quite like this. I mean, there are couples who are, say, power couples, but it's a different dynamic. I mean, you guys have been seemingly sort of hive mind from a very early age. So when did this start, right? So you have one email address, one Instagram account, one LinkedIn. I think the phone is maybe the same.
It's connected, so that's
Right. So I'm looking at some notes here. So since you were born, this year was the first time that you guys spent 10 days apart. Put another way, not being together in one place when you went to a Vipassana retreat. All right. So could you explain for people who understandably will find this interesting and kind of alien, how did this come about? And how is it helpful versus confusing? I mean, how do you guys do it?
It is confusing in many ways. But we should understand that the six of us grew up in one room of a size smaller than this studio.
Okay. And for those who can't see the full studio, I mean, it's not huge, right? It's not this isn't an airplane hangar. It's not a basketball court. It's like a bedroom. Yeah. 3 bunk beds.
That's how the 6 kids could fit in the room like this. And then even later, so we grew up like this up until like school already started. And I think like until 13, 14 years old, it was the situation, more or less. And then parents also sent us to school by pairs. It was like a logistical innovation.
It's like buddy diving when you're scuba diving.
Yeah, exactly.
But because it was dangerous to
walk us the streets in 90s
alone.
So
if
in
we're
Moscow.
together, they don't need to walk us to school, so we can do it by ourselves and all
High
the
degree
stuff.
of confidence.
Exactly. So they were sending us by pairs to school. Not only the 2 of us, but the other kids as well. So we were a pair. David was 5 years old. I was 6 years old when we went to the school. And the rest of the kids were 7, so we were bitten.
But because it's 2 of us, we learned how to
like avoid
to protect ourselves being 2 rather than 1.
So had to survive. It's like bonding
Very
experience.
helpful for the bonding. Yeah.
Very helpful for the bonding. Helping each other like through the education, like doing homework together, all the stuff together. By 13, 14 years old, that's when we started forming our own ideas of what could be cool for us to do in our life. And that was already like a social justice type of thinking, like how can we make the world a better place for everyone? And starting from there, we saw how no one literally was supporting this idea except 2 of us basically continued the conversation in the 2 of us, and it never faded away.
Which idea is this? This is the combining...
The idea is that like transparency in government, it was just one branch of this idea.
So the 2 of you are very aligned.
Yes, the technologies can actually lead us to a better governance. And that's what we thought. And through this experience of being kids, like first we realized that when you go to school, all kids, they are alone. But we weren't. And it gave us a lot of advantage.
We're always
we don't need to struggle to company gather around us because it's already 2 people. It's much easier to gather a company, like group of friends around. Also, we realized that if I know mathematics better, we can do it the way so that no one wouldn't know that Daniil don't know mathematics as I do.
As good as he does.
So you can actually
like
copy.
Yeah.
Yes, Voltron type of situation. And we learned that's what we can do. That and if we weren't allow outside world to actually distinguish who has which qualities,
you can
we will
cover
be able,
the bases.
Yes, we will be able to seem to be a superhuman because we have both of the qualities. And
okay, so I know you guys, as an example, are fans of the Collison brothers, right?
Yes.
Amazing. And Patrick's been on the podcast. My understanding is they're very powerful together, but they have maintained, they're like, I don't want to say Batman and Robin, that's not quite the same. They're like, 2 of the Avengers, right? I mean, they're superheroes, but they have clearly delineated separate points of contact and so on. What have been some of the other advantages or drawbacks of doing it the way that you guys have approached it?
Even though they definitely more separate than we do, but they did a lot of really great stuff. For example, they were like CEO and president. They switched who is CEO and who is president, and they switched roles. So they actually showed to the world that they are interchangeable. The team, and they are great in this regard.
But
in our case, we went to just in an extreme version of that, having one line of communication. So if you text me, you actually text both of us, and you don't know who answered this text.
But we can answer faster.
We can answer faster. Seems to be this superhuman, and that worked pretty well during negotiations of the contracts.
David honestly hated speaking to people as he was young. He was like super not into talking to people. And I was super easy to talk to people. So it was my role in the couple to talk all the time.
And I would still never.
He was never picking up the phone
if someone called.
I don't pick up the phone either.
Yes.
For me, it's just too much. I don't know what I'm signing up for.
Yes,
Unless
exactly.
it's my brother or a family. Okay, fine. There are a few
So
exceptions.
imagine that you can outsource that.
That's
Pretty
nice.
cool. It's nice.
Yeah.
So and that worked in business pretty well, even though our first like business partners, they were like, why you're on the same meeting, like you can be in two places at the same time and things like that. But we even at some moment gave up on like trying to explain them that no, that's allow us to, in business especially,
It allows
it's
us-
like win or lose. Like you won this contract or lost the contract. And all these meetings are important. And
if you like playing two contracts and losing both of them, it doesn't matter that it was two of them. If you're playing one, but you're playing a hardcore game of us being a team in this conversation, which can win the contract, it works much better.
Yeah, bird in the hand versus two in the bush.
Yeah.
So, what are your respective roles generally then, in terms of responsibilities or strengths? How do you think about that?
I would put this way. We have two different intuitions, and they're like completely different. David's intuition is he absorbs data, he remembers everything, and then at some point he can just like, the answer is this. Like 42. Like just out of nowhere, out of like, and you're like, why? He's like, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that it's 42.
42, yeah. It's
And
like
then
the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah. And then the next morning he can wake up and he's like, yeah, and now I know why. I cleared my path to this place in my mind, which actually made the calculation and tell me it's 42. So here's why. My intuition is completely different. My intuition is like, we need to fly to London tomorrow. And he's like, why? I have a good feeling about this. And then we fly to London and we got the investors. It's like this. I'm like, we need to offer these people this. And David's like, no. I'm like, yes. We need to offer them this. I offer them this. And they're like, yes, agree. Handshaking. And they're like, how did you know? I'm just like, I felt it.
So Daniil much better in reading people. Daniil much better in reading situations. In general, I am much better in processing data, processing knowledge. I have this strange qualities that I remember everything.
Is that hard for you? I'm just wondering, because I have family members like this, and sometimes it's a huge advantage. But are there things that you wish you could forget?
I learned to live with that. I think that because we have both of it, and I see what is the advantage of a different type of thinking, etc., and I learn how to live with that, and now I embrace it. I understand the limitations, but I cannot read the citation properly. Like I understand the limitation of this tool, but because it's two of us, and we have both, I actually doubled down into these qualities and developed these qualities further and further and further.
Do you guys get physical or psychological anxiety when you are separate?
This was the first time when when we were separate.
April was the first time when we were separate, like not even being able to text each other because the phone is off during the Vipassana for 10 days long.
What was
in
that
our
like?
life.
Well, so you had something to do. I mean, you're in
Yeah,
your
I was
own
working.
mind, right? Like, but you had a task. So what was it like for you, David?
It was unexpected, but for me it was okay. Because I knew that Daniil is working on something which is important. I knew that if he will extract some new experiences out of it, I also will do that. So it's kind of, I outsourced
There's the
this.
guinea pig.
That was the guinea pig.
Yes.
And I actually felt like I had this intuition, like, I gotta do this. And I just went. And it was so quick. So David had to wait for 3 months.
So
in the
everyone
line.
expected...
I was accepted 4 days before the course started.
Everyone expected around that I will be devastated by this experience, but somehow I was super calm probably because I knew that Daniil is working on something important for us.
There was a purpose behind it.
And then the second time was like the same situation, but reversed. He was working on his mind and I was back home. For me, it was a little bit more challenging, meaning that I had this mind trick, which was, oh, it's your fault that he's there, struggling there. And like, what are you talking about? For you, it was a great experience. But like, yeah, but for David, maybe it's not as great. Maybe it's challenging for him. And like, come on, seriously, stop it. So,
All right. So you had the internal voice keeping you company.
yes.
Part of the reason I ask, and I don't know if this is true, this is from the New Yorker piece, is selling shares in yourself the way of the future, which I would love to hear if there's anything you wish were different in that piece. for those people who might check it out. But I was curious because at one point it says, at home, the brothers share a single king-size bed. Is that still the case?
We recently changed it.
In April, we moved to a new house, and we basically decided to have more bedrooms, and we have separate bedrooms now.
Because this behavior creates some limitations, especially around relationships.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
So we decided that, especially now when it's published, we have an additional problem.
Well, it was already... yeah, right, in the New Yorker. Right?
Yes, in New
I
Yorker.
imagine I'm not the first person to ask about this.
In general, our bond is quite challenging in terms of relationship. That's why we decided that we need to make it
Like
easier.
romantic relationship, he means.
Right.
Yes, we decided that we need to explicitly make it easier for potential romantic partners, and splitting bedrooms is one of the first steps.
Floors.
Maybe a key aim.
Different floors. Like Daniil has his own floor, David has his own floor in the house. So
Oh, I can imagine those in my mind, right? As I'm painting a picture, I just imagine the floors looking very different. Like if the respective
they are.
brothers' floors must be very different.
But also, when we were in the same room, it was for purpose. We usually would stop talking only before a minute. We will go to sleep
and start talking as we wake up. So what are we doing today? This is a wake up call.
So now we're traveling to New York. We're in one
hotel
room.
So
we constantly talk,
and we constantly talk nonstop.
What an incredible blessing and gift it is that you guys have each other.
Yeah. I mean, we're absolutely enjoying this way of life. Yes, as David said, challenges in the romantic relationship, we will work it out.
So do you think when you have romantic partners, let's just say you have romantic partners, maybe you have families, who knows? Do you think you guys will still live together?
Yes.
Yes.
We maybe will do some, is in our vision, we maybe can create kind of special house when you have sections of private and not private and something like that. Because we definitely need to hear also what our
other
partners
have
want,
to say about things.
Have to say, yes. But we really want to still have a place for two of us when we can spend a lot of time together.
Okay. So I have heard, people need to fact check this because I think a friend of mine told me, just as a model, that Tim Burton and his wife, I think it's Helena Bonham Carter, if they're still together, I don't know, but that in their house, they actually lived in separate wings, and then they would come together for shared meals and things like that. So they had a very unorthodox
We have
arrangement.
friends who build houses when they have joint bedroom and
Separate
bedrooms.
And a wing for kids.
A wing for kids. So
wing for him, wing for her, wing for kids, and wing for them together.
It's like a spaceship. Yeah, I like it. I'm very interested in all. That's why maybe the divorce lawyers can give you some advice from Hollywood. What has worked? What has not worked? You mentioned Evan earlier. Not everyone's going to recognize that name. How did you guys end up at Snap?
Our point of view, we always tell the story from the perspective of us meeting Dalai Lama in 2010.
When in doubt, go with the Dalai Lama story.
So it was back in 2009, right in between us starting the animation studio and bankrupting the game studio. There was 3 months of us.
Took a Dalai Lama sabbatical.
Yeah, there was three months of us clearly not knowing what to do, and then the bandits are threatening our lives. We don't know how to return the money, and then we just decided to go for a 5-6 days meditation retreat of a Rinpoche, a Tibetan Lama, who just arrived to Moscow, and a friend invited us. So we came there with no expectations whatsoever. But the gentleman was very interesting. He was young, he was super smart, speaking 11 languages, and from time to time, he would switch from this Tibetan stories about the enlightened kingdoms to something more practical, even claiming that a single person can actually change the world if they want. And for us, it was wait, what? Are you talking to us? And we then asked if we can have an audience with the Rinpoche, and we were told that everything is booked already. But 5 minutes later, he called us.
Now, just so I'm clear, so he is which teacher?
Gyatro Jigme Rinpoche is a Tibetan
Spiritual leader.
Yes.
It's a title which you can get only from your childhood if
I
you
see.
recognize
It's recognized as a reincarnation of the previous
Reincarnation
life.
of someone else. Mhm.
Yes. So this gentleman is in Moscow, and Rinpoche is asking us to come see him. And we're like, wait, okay, cool. So we
shared our ideas about
and our
transparency, about how in the future we can live within governments without physical borders. And for Tibetan peoples, it's really important subject, knowing that they don't have their
it
lands.
resonated with him, and when we finished our story by saying like, and now it's just two of us, he immediately abrupted us and said like the three of us. And it was touching and like unexpected. And he finished his phrase with, come visit me in India in, what was it, January next year. I'm hosting an inauguration of a monastery. Dalai Lama going to be there. And I will introduce you, and we will introduce your ideas together, and we'll see what we can do together. That meeting actually happened, and not happened at the same time. So we flew to India. We spent this week in the monastery in India, Tibetan monastery. Dalai Lama actually arrived. We had a non-private meeting with him in a group of 10 European donors of the monastery. But then we had to have a one-on-one meeting with him next morning, which never happened because a storm came. Like this, I know this is like a movie story. The storm came, and Dalai Lama immediately
was packed into the helicopter,
like the military helicopter, and just disappeared. And we were standing there, and in half hour, the storm just rushed and flooded the entire valley.
For the next 2 days, we weren't able to leave
the place because it was flooded. But then a month later, we received an email from a gentleman whose name was Jerry Murdoch. He's the founder of Insight Partners.
One of the biggest VC firms in Europe.
And the email was like,
I'm at the dinner
with Dalai Lama and this other monk. And they told me I have to email you. And they give me your email. So that's what I do.
That's why I'm emailing.
That's why I'm emailing you.
So
we've met with him a few months later and become close friends.
And eventually, through the many different stories, he invited us to a dinner. This dinner wasn't really for us. He thought that other people will come, but it didn't work. So
he invited us
instead. And there
whatever
we
gets
met.
The job done.
Yes. But since this introduction, we always were quite cautious about everything which
was related to
this.
I mean, Dalai Lama introduced to someone, you stick to
should be the reason.
There should be a reason. And we always try to help him and be around and just see where it will come, where it will go.
You're talking about Jerry.
Jerry, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point, eventually, he introduced us to Evan at his house. And then Evan gave me his phone number just right away at the meeting.
And it was the right moment.
Which wasn't expected for everyone around, because that's not what he's doing.
And we were developing technologies around 3D avatars
Computer
at that
vision.
moment. And that's what was exactly
on his mind.
On his mind was he wanted to combine a Bitmoji, which were the 2D avatars he acquired from the Canadian company, and 3D engine of AR technology of Luxury, the Ukrainian company he acquired. He wanted to merge the two technologies, and our experience in Hollywood was merging technologies. We literally were transferring the 2D styles of existing animated shows into 3D and back and forth and back and forth.
In that moment, we also focused on 3D avatars and how technologies can actually, not a show, not something which require
game type of thinking, because we decided to, right after the financial transparency for non-profits didn't work, we decided that we looked around and realized that the technology advanced, like a computer vision and style transfers and all this stuff advanced a lot since we left CG graphics, and we realized that we know everything and more than probably everyone in the field, so we can try to just start something and probably gonna build a successful company. Half a year later, Evan already acquired us.
Mm-hmm. And so just for people who might not have the acronym, so AR, augmented reality. Right? So people may recognize some of the current or recent iterations on Snap where you can say put any number of different sort of overlays of characters. I mean, they do partnerships with all sorts of companies and so on, so you can add something to your face that sort of tracks your eye movement and augments the kind of visual experience. So is that what you guys were working on in some capacity?
This technology, face tracking technology, it was Ukrainian company Luxury, which they recently acquired before
Snapchat
us.
recently acquired.
And we worked how to combine the avatars into this technology.
I see.
So right now, 3D version of Bitmoji is the most used avatars daily in Snapchat. It's already everywhere, like in your profile, in games, in lenses, in all places.
And so you guys get acquired. And if I'm missing a chapter, let me know. But can you describe what you did, what your analysis looked like when Snapchat suddenly started losing users? I think it was in 2017?
Mm-hmm.
2018.
18.
So it was early 2018.
Are you right?
2017, Instagram released their stories. And in the beginning of 2018, new update version of Snapchat was released. Kim Kardashian tweeted, or Kylie Jenner tweeted that like no one would use Snapchat anymore, all this stuff. And audience started to decline. And at that moment, most of the people believed...
Internal idea in the company was that it's due to the
Public sentiment competition.
public sentiment of the bad new version, or competition of Instagram and TikTok, or all together. While our analysis of data showed us that it's not true. And then the major reason for the decline of the audience was related to the fact that Android version of Snapchat, after the update, becomes so slow that people over time gave up.
Yeah, they just abandoned.
They just started abandoning. 10% of the slowest devices of Android users could have experienced like up to 40 seconds before the feed with stories would load.
Next time when you will open some feed, like count to 40.
Count 40 seconds? No way. I'll barely wait for 4 seconds.
Exactly. So it was so obvious that this was the reason. But it took some time.
We realized that we didn't have any specific position related to that in the company, and we realized that what we can do is actually to just bring all the insights which we were able to extract to
the engineering team, to Evan,
and to just give him all the evidences so that more focus can be added to the problem and to making the app faster.
Now, why do you think you guys spotted this? Right? Because it doesn't sound like it's immediately your department or responsibilities. So was the narrative that it was, the Jenners and the Kim Kardashians, and then the competition, was that so accepted at face value that people weren't looking at the data, or what happened?
So there were several reasons. First of all, it's Android. We're Android users, and among executives, it was a really rare things to use Android as day-to-day. Evan, he pushed himself to use Android to experience this all, what his users usually experience when they use Android. But we use Androids as day-to-day devices. We're hackers. We don't like limitations of Apple App Stores and closed-up ecosystems. That's why we always were there. And so when we developed our 3D avatars, it worked product
faster on Android than on iOS.
And it was quite unique to compare to other products. And through this experience, we learned a lot about some limitations. And we already, at that moment, looked at some data just for our product to be launched properly.
We wanted to fix Snapchat's Android app earlier just for our product to work.
So we kind of had already some predispositions and beliefs related to that.
Then, when the product was launched, we decided to research everything about the user behavior in order to understand how we can better position our product inside of the Snapchat ecosystem.
And with such problems, the challenge, there are different methodologies. For example, there is a methodology to A/B tests. When you launch, half of the users will see one version and half of users will see a different version, and then you will compare the results. But with performance degradation, the result is delayed. It's not immediate. You cannot really it's really hard to A/B test.
It's not apples to apples.
Yes. So you need to wait for some time. You need data for longer period of time.
And more or less, you need to break it, give your users a bad version, wait for them to use it for a long enough period for you to see the difference in behavior.
Sounds like a tough assignment.
Yes. Moral decision was never do that. So you shouldn't really make the experience of users worse intentionally.
And as hackers, for us, it was like, okay, can we find a way how to get this data anyway? So we started to look at all the previous bugs,
Accidental
mistakes,
degradations,
which led to, and then was discovered, but lasted for long enough so that we can actually extract the change in behavior data.
Still, it's really important to note, and the article in the New Yorker it's the words not from us, that's why they are not as clear. There were people who also believe in this idea, not only us.
It was basically their initiative.
There were not enough momentum and
arguments?
not enough people who would work on this problem. There were really brilliant engineers who already, before that, started to rewrite.
You could be good ambassadors.
Yes,
for this.
we used our previously earned social capital
of building
so
this
that we realized
avatar
that
product.
we need to just spend all the social capital on this problem, otherwise shares drop to $5 per share from 20 in all our, like the entire compensation of ours
in the equity, of course.
In equity, of course. And also we saw the opportunity, for us, we got through two major crises in our life, not counting the childhood crisis, financial crisis. That's why somehow for us, when it is a crisis, for us it's a great times. So like, now
we can show how we can hack.
Yes.
Never let a good crisis go to waste.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
So, and at some point we just had to show that we're good engineers as well. In order to challenge the status quo, David had to sit down and fix camera. Snapchat is camera. And David made it load
twice as
fast.
Like, not load, like when you press the button, how fast the picture would be ready. I showed that it can be...
the speed can be doubled.
So
and
in
it was like, oh, wow. So yes, you are guys also great engineers as well. So how did you do that? And we showed some of the principles of how you can find inefficiencies in the code.
But still, it's really important in the sense, so it was a really team effort. A lot of great engineers actually was part of this process. What we see as our contribution, this promotion of this
Their
ideas
voice was heard.
and bringing this voice to the decision makers so that they also will be empowered with data to then thread it to the entire organization. And that was definitely really great times. It worked. And, even though Snapchat has some challenges right now with financial side of things, but with audience, since then it's growing.
The audience is growing.
They recently reached like 800 million.
The audience is growing in the
audience.
countries where the Androids are even slower. So the app actually is pretty significant, right?
Still like
right now.
in terms of Android apps, it's still like one of the fastest apps to load compared to the major apps out there.
What was interesting as well, so launching a new updated version only happened when, like in March-ish of 2019. But it was also important, and like we put lots of efforts into this program more than the other one, to fix the existing version. Before the new was released, the old had to be fixed in order to stop bleeding.
Yeah.
And by December, the bleeding stopped. And in January, the audience started to grow. In March, the new version was released. It never actually slowed down since then.
So I have a question about this type of data-driven analysis. Do you attempt to do this type of analysis with goals or challenges that you have in your personal lives? Do you try to apply it everywhere? Are there examples that you could give outside of the business context?
First of all, we should note that we, as Daniil mentioned about intuition, we believe in both. We believe in intuition and we believe in data approach. But yes, so for example, one of our major principle is that we know what is compound growth. And for example, when we have some crazy goals, crazy for some people, they will set some goals, and these goals seems to be impossible. What we show again and again that actually, if you have goals, like for example, number of followers or number of dollars in your pocket, quantifiable things.
Quantifiable, key
what you
performance.
can do is that you can evaluate what you have right now. And then if you can multiply this number
if you can double
2 times a year. Actually,
every year, if you can double your result,
it is greatness. You have like the entire money on Earth, the entire population of following, etc. So it's really important that when you have these big goals, you can have any big goal with this approach.
You just don't need to run faster than doubling the number 2 times every year.
Actually, what we realize that there's
probably
corridor.
Physical limitation at the top, which is around 2.4. Like you cannot run faster than increasing your results 2.4 times a year in a long run.
But what we realize that is actually it's really tiny corridor. If you increase this number 1.6 times, you're successful. If you increase this number 2.4 times, you're superhuman.
You're like God-like.
So this is only the small corridor. You don't need to think about something faster. If it's
anything slower, it's just like a normal life.
So now this is multiplying your KPI by 1.7 times
every year.
Every year.
Yes.
Once per year.
Once per year. Yes. And we applied it a lot in our life, in our business life, in the life of our companies, in our personal life. So we use this methodology.
How do you apply it? What would be an example from the personal life? Maybe it doesn't have to follow that doubling heuristic. It could, but what might be an example?
But for example, amount of hours you spent with a romantic partner you inspired by.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
so you would look at you would track the hours and then look to multiply that over time.
So you shouldn't expect that immediately you would start a relationship which would be perfect and like you will spend all the time and all this time would be perfect and great, etc. But if you have 1 hour of this experience a year, the next year it can be 2 hours, the next year it can be 4 hours.
For some it might sound like...
In 10 years you have the entire life like that.
Slow build.
Slow build. And we just realized that when you try to run faster, you can actually break yourself.
I see what you're saying. So you can make a mistake by saying, okay, I'm going to spend half of my time this year with this person because you're sort of biting off more than you can chew.
Yeah.
And maybe shooting yourself in the foot for the long term.
Yes.
Okay. So basically having an eye towards growth, but not being excessively ambitious in the beginning because you'll break things.
Yes, I know on personal experience. Yes, this is like when you want too much right away, you break stuff.
Yeah, I can see that. As someone who's went like physical breakage also.
Yeah, but even with the acceleration when you're in a rocket flying to space, there is this limitation of like 3G. Like 3 times G, which then actually start breaking stuff in yourself. So it seems that it's kind of natural number. This is what we can sustain, like 2.4, like 2, 1.6. This is something which we can sustain physically and mentally. And
you can honestly you can find it anywhere.
Everything.
You want to play music? Just start from something achievable right now today. Double your result every year.
And you will become Beyonce.
Superstar. Yeah. It's certainly true with physical activity too. If you think about, say, weightlifting or whatever, you don't need to 10x the number every year. And if you try...
You want 10x.
If you try, like I've tried, then you start damaging your connective tissue or...
Yes, I remember that it was one of the Olympic teams. Was it in UK or something like that? I don't remember exactly. But they got a new trainer, and the new trainer was coach was with this approach. But the approach was like, we need to improve our KPIs 1% a week. It's almost the same. And they become
Years
champion
later,
from nowhere.
They become champion from like nowhere. Like the last position on the list, they
so
become
it's
champions.
about physical activity the same in business activity,
writing books,
money, finance,
music.
But really important is that you can achieve anything. You can have any type of mission or big goals, but then you write this, you like draw this curve for yourself and be consistent.
What are some of the logistics challenges and how have you addressed them in running your businesses, how you run them, or organizing your lives the way that you guys organize them?
We have a very messed up calendar. It's like multidimensional.
Does that mean that you're just traveling all over the place?
We travel a lot, for sure.
We probably like this year were in the States for 3 months all over the year, but at home in LA, even less time than that, maybe like 1 week a month, not more than that.
But what helped a lot, that started with 2 of us, but quite fast, 2 of our sisters joined. And they usually...
And they don't travel that much?
And they usually run operations and scaling of the
Do any of your other siblings have the pair bonding that you guys have?
No, it didn't work. But 5 of us were quite close. And we work together.
We live together in LA. Like, our houses is literally like 2 minutes away from each other.
Yes. And they start to run our operations since game development, and then they become equal partners in animation studio. And since then, it's much easier for us to dream more and to act.
But now we discuss everything together, like philosophy, the vision for the future, the morality. Like, it's a constant discussion among all of us.
So I can imagine, I'm just putting myself in the place of people listening to this, that I'm sure there are people out there who work with family. And then there are other people who don't work with family, but I imagine working with my family, and I love my family, but I'm like, wow, if I hired 2 people from my family to run my operations, what do you do if it's not working? I mean, would you ever fire them, or do you just have complete confidence that you can resolve anything that might come up? How do you think about?
You definitely can fire, but for sure, we went through really harsh experience with game development studio bankruptcy, and they were the only ones who stayed with us through the challenging period. Yes, and when you actually went through such experience, it's much easier to trust, not trust just because it's family, but because you know what you can expect.
How they behaved.
And especially in venture business, when, as we mentioned, most of your attempts would fail, it is really important quality to have someone who you can trust that they are with you long term, not just for this project. I would say this worked pretty well. Maybe this was the results of this experience, which we all had, but maybe just because our parents worked together. For us, we didn't have this concept that it's not right.
Never work with your family. No.
And we went through challenges. Definitely, we argue with each other, etc. So we went through a lot of challenges, but it worth it.
I was thinking also, as you saw your sisters, I suppose, doing the challenges of the game development company, has reminded me of a quote. I don't know the attribution, but in English is a common expression: adversity builds character. But the alternative, which I think might be just as true or maybe truer, is adversity doesn't build character, it reveals character. Yeah. And so you got to see how they responded to a lot of challenge, which gave you the confidence then.
And there were a lot of challenges.
Yeah.
And we are lucky in many ways.
I want to ask you about, this is a same question applied to 2 different groups. So the first is going to be your parents, and I want to just ask about what ideas of theirs you find most interesting. Maybe that's a place to talk about kymatics, maybe not. Then the second is what ideas you guys are most excited about right now. But I wanted to start with...
Do we have a couple more hours for each?
Yeah. Exactly.
So our parents, our dad, he was from physics. But he was, by government, pushed out from physics because he was Jew.
And switched to
biology, because biophysics was an open field.
So physics was more protected and Jews were more discriminated against in physics.
So he found this niche. It was a new niche. It was an emerging new science. And he came there with knowledge of physics. And that gave him a different perspective than most of the biologists who would see everything through the prism of chemistry or through the prism of biology.
He looked at it through the prism of physics.
And he started discovering things faster in this field.
Starting with the first thing which he discovered was that the color which received by an eye is encoded not in the frequency, which is then translated as a signal inside of the eye nerve, but as a pattern of signal
Pauses in between
the
spikes.
spikes.
So the
So
pattern
it's like almost like
encodes
a
the code.
Morse, like dee, dee,
like
dee,
Morse
dee,
code.
dee. And this is sort of like
And
blue.
that's how he realized that it should be a computer there, that should be a computation because the encoding happened.
He came to this idea. There was a really interesting, weird obsession of his on the idea that if evolution was working properly for millions of years, if not billions of years, then it should be optimal. That the most optimal mechanism should have survived the evolution process. And therefore, what's the most optimal from the physics perspective in terms of measuring
Amount of energy spent on the operation.
And data? He's like, time in between the quantum events. This is probably the most optimal one. And that, like, from this perspective, he was like, from the perspective of optimality, he was trying to find how the eye works, and he was the one to discover exactly how it works. And he's like, wow, so I was right about optimality. And then used optimality all the way down, exploring into the nerve, into the neuron, and into the core of the cell, into the DNA, and then like cross the entire cell.
So chymatic was the abbreviation of chemistry, optics, and mathematics. So he always believed that the real discoveries are in combination of different fields. That actually the fact that we learn this subject separately limiting us in terms of us being able to discover some things which requires you to
Have
look
some
at the
interdisciplinary synthesis.
In their success, both like our dad and mom, the success was because of that. They would combine things which others wouldn't combine. For example, he brought the quantum physics into describing cells processes. So even till like maybe 2008, 2010, it was really a marginalized idea in science. They were trying to avoid as much as possible some complicated processes in biology because it will challenge the idea that it happened randomly, and that they was trying to avoid that. And only recently, more and more discoveries around photosynthesis, which probably requires quantum tunneling, and then the smell, and this fact that the birds can see the direction of polarization of light, and like where is North Pole. This all can be described only through the quantum properties of some processes which happen inside
in life.
The biggest discovery, which we personally like, it's the last discovery. You know, like it's always like that.
Discovery, it's like the entire concept that our consciousness works through the quantum compute inside every single neuron. Every single neuron is sort of a qubit. It's like a quantum state machine itself, which then combined in the network produce all the results, but every neuron is quantum state machine.
This can actually explain a lot about our psychology, about how we think, how our consciousness works, but also it can give humanity a lot of clues how to build proper quantum computers. So currently, the quantum computers which we build, like Google builds or Microsoft builds, they are all require some really complicated environments. So you need to freeze the computers to like minus 270 degrees.
Fully isolated from any chaotic
electromagnetic fields
and stuff.
So it's really complicated. While if our parents right, in every cell
in our body has a quantum...
This process happening at room temperature, so we can actually look at how biology made it and then build a new class of quantum computers which can actually be in your watch, and then this can accelerate the personal AI development, not the corporation's big AI, but the one which would be with you always and things like that.
Plus, there is a chance also as well that if these processes are happening inside of the cell, the answer to a room temperature superconductors can also be there somewhere. I know that recently there was this entire hype with the supposedly discovery of the room temperature superconductors.
It seems that it didn't work this time
fully,
but we all like why was so excited because it can change everything.
Understanding the quantum levitation, all roads can be done from superconductors. If all roads can be done, then we have flying cars. If the same roads can then become the electric network, which distributes electricity around the globe from sustainable sources of energy, like solar panels. We have days somewhere each hour, all the time. And if the superconductors can surround the planet, then we have electricity everywhere without the losing of power. Lots of stuff can come from the superconductors.
So
the answer can be inside of our cells.
Yes, so in the biggest discovery was that the answer can be inside of the cells. If we can actually look at the properties of these nanotubes, and they are really special. This is really like right now, there are a lot of discoveries showing that these nanotubes have properties which no one would expect that they would have, even though we all know about physics and chemistry, but we cannot predict these properties.
Because this is recent, probably not even published, or maybe some discussions in the conferences is happening that the nanotubes of that sort, the cytoskeleton nanotubes, microtubulars, they can capture photons. They can capture light and direct it within its structure. As the light actually hits the microtubular, the photon goes inside the tube, and then like as if it's a cord which captures the light, and then
so a lot of really unexpected and great properties which can be used in industries and which can be used by humanity to just accelerate our developments. What is important is that they just realize that to achieve that we need to be interdisciplinary and we need to combine. Through the last years, he was promoters that he believes that in schools we should teach kids like that, so like not to teach like physics and chemistry and like biology
separately,
but teach
it
all together and show how all this interconnected. In that we need to kind of grow a new generation of scientists who wouldn't be so silent in the disciplines.
All right, so I want to segue to the ideas that you guys are currently most excited about. Thank you for explaining all that. I could spend hours just digging into what you just said, maybe another time. But since you mentioned teaching, which relates to learning, how would you teach kids to code or people to code versus how it's maybe currently taught?
So first of all, we saw that computer science historically emerged from mathematics.
And
this,
geeky minds like ours.
And so it's really great for us, but for most people, it's really alienating, because if you're not good in mathematics, you will just avoid even learning it because you will think that you are not really great at that. In reality,
it's a language.
Coding is much closer to learning French or like Japanese. It's actually language.
Easier.
A friend of mine published a small book which was basically code as poetry.
Oh, that's interesting.
And
can you share it? Because we actually also wrote a tiny book like Code as a Language.
Sure. I'll find it for you. And I'm not sure if he published it, but he gave it away as a gift. Matt Mullenweg, who's the founder and CEO of Automatic and was one of the lead developers, arguably the lead developer of WordPress.
Probably need to combine our thoughts in one book and then publish it.
Yeah,
so
I'll find it for you.
I created, during pandemic, I had some additional time, so I created an interactive
online
book
course
where you learn that you can actually first type something in a normal language, description of the world,
of the
and then
product.
It can be easily translated by you into
coding
language in like Python or C++ or Swift.
It's literally like a translation. First, you wrote it in your own language, and then you translate it into the code.
So the only thing which you need to learn is this a little bit different way to describe the world. And that's what mostly you should learn. You shouldn't learn the words and punctuation and orthographics of this language. And if you use this method to learn, then you can actually code in any language. Because it appears that Swift or C++, they all the same, they all interchangeable. Every time when I interview an engineer and this engineer would say that, I know only this language, this would be a red flag for me, because it means that you don't really understand. And all these languages, they're almost the same. Yes, there are nuances, but you almost don't have tasks which actually require you to use these nuances. But if you understand the meta language, and this meta language is really close to real human natural language, then you can actually code in any language. And that's what we really promote. And We happen to actually teach some people coding who would never think that they can code, and who would think that mathematics is not theirs.
Like moms of two,
yes.
housewives, type of like, and they are great.
Because they're great in language, and if you're great in language, if you can actually learn this language as well. Especially right now, even though, yes, ChatGPTs of the world, they can code for yourself, but if you know how to code, you will be well off in the next 20 years, like 10, 20 years.
So for people who are listening, if they are resonating with what you're saying, so for instance, I'm a casualty of mathematics. I was actually very good at math. My brother also very good at math, and we had very different experiences with teachers. So he had a few great teachers, and I had one very, very angry, kind of abusive teacher. And so I said, no more math for me, even though I was innately quite good at it. He kept going and got PhD into statistics, and he's very math capable. But I sort of developed I had like an adolescent onset allergy. But I recognize the beauty and elegance and value of code. I don't think I would ever use it as a profession, but I like the idea of testing myself. But I've always struggled with trying to identify how to start. Right? And I've looked at AI as maybe a way to use an intermediary, so I can use natural language to do some type of coding. But how would you suggest to someone who is interested, maybe a little nervous, but would like to explore coding?
There is a free book on our Instagram. Like there is a link which you can try. It's definitely only the first step. Then you will need to learn more. But at least through the step, our expectation that you will stop being nervous and afraid of coding, and it would be more natural for you. That's why we wrote this book, just to make it easy, because I don't like any other courses because they all like start with syntaxes, etc. And it's not the way you.
It's not the way you start. They are great courses. It's just like not the way you start, because you alienate people who are like, oh, function. What is function? Variable.
I don't know anything about coding, but it's the same with foreign languages, right? I mean, it's like you see the way that they're taught, and it's like, okay, here's a huge table of conjugations. Memorize this, and people are like, no thanks, I'm out.
I'm out.
It's like, no, like here's a comic book. Like let's look at some things that you can use immediately, make it fun, and then like later we can do the harder stuff.
And also what we found, and that's how we learn how to code, is that usually when you learn language, you first read, not write. You read, and you need to read some easy but good written book to learn the language.
Software engineering is the same. Like we
mocked an Instagram application. And
we wrote a clean code of a simple Instagram
because
application.
Everyone knows what it is and everyone understands how it works. So if you read this code, you understand what.
And then in the middle of the course, you're just, okay, now change some stuff in the code, and you will see the changes in the app. And as you change the part of the code, you see the changes in the app, and you're like, oh, that's how it works.
But also positive feedback.
Yes. And also, even if you decide not to be an engineer, for example, if you're product manager, or marketing person,
QA,
it's really important for you to understand. Otherwise, you won't be able to give properly the tasks to engineers. You won't be able to manage engineers, and you're losing a lot of opportunities. You will always be tricked by engineers because you will ask them to do something, but they will do something really different if you don't really understand their language. But as soon as you do, it's actually.
I wish we had more time and more eager to actually finish the full course, but it's absolutely not the primary goal in our hectic life as well. So,
but I'll link to that in the show notes so that people who are interested can at least find it and give it a shot. I might do the same thing. So exciting ideas. Could be projects, could be missions, could be ideas, just things that have you both feeling excited and motivated.
First, observations, which we have about the world. And this observation gave us a different perspective. And this perspective is almost obviously led us to some ideas. And then usually when we have ideas, these ideas exist in us for some years, and then we try to crystallize them in projects. One of the major observation, which actually started from bankruptcy of a game development studio, we really wanted to understand what was
What
that.
the hell
like,
happened
this
with the financial crisis? Like, what?
How we missed it.
Not that we missed it. Like, we saw that there was like a problem in the real estate market, but everything collapsed around real estate
we
market.
thought that just real estate market will collapse, but everything collapsed.
Little did we know about how the financial market works.
Yes. Then we dig deeper and first we got to the same conclusions that everyone, like economists.
Derivatives, credit default swaps, this all led to this bubble. Subprimes, like all this stuff.
Yes, people usually, like when it's about derivative and credit default swaps,
Blame the
blamed
bankers.
Like, bankers, they made this deregulation. They are the problem, and that's how it all happens. But we usually, like, every time when we have a statement, we check it with data. And we decide to understand, like, who was
the actual beneficiary
of the credit default swaps.
Not of their fall, but of them being created and popularized that way.
And then we realized that most of the credit default swaps through some vehicles, they were owned by pension funds. And we're like, what? Because we're from a region where pension funds really, small pensioners are really poor people, and you would never think that they own some like multi-trillion-dollar...
Huge.
Pensions in the United States are like, what is it?
$40 trillion. It's more than
assets.
the entire publicly traded market combined. You will combine all Apple, Google, Exxon, Walmart. You will combine all these companies. It's smaller than the assets of
altogether less
pension
than
funds.
the assets of pension funds.
So through this prism, we started to learn more and more, like how the hell it happened, and
it
what
was
does
a
it
great
mean,
invention.
how-
I mean, the fact that the United States is the greatest economy in the world is because of this.
So
It's
we realized
because
it's not because
people
of the army,
actually
not
was
because of
saving
military.
some big chunk of their money, and the money was not just saved, but was invested into the market. And that's how market got all the capital to grow, etc., etc., etc.
But then we realized that, unfortunately, as soon as this population not only grew to the amounts that they are the majority of voters, but also they have this enormous financial power. The financial power
Which never
bigger
existed
than the
before.
banks, the bigger than any other organization. So this financial power and this voting power
Together combined led to lots of popular political decisions
and regulations,
which was completely false.
What types of things?
So
We can give you some taste of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for example, when we first came to the United States, we learned about student debt. And for you, it's obvious, like it's United States, everything is commercial. That's why college is not free. That's how we got to the student debt. But the student debt, if you will look at the size in before 2000, it was a really small problem. It's now like $2 trillion. But before that, it was a much smaller problems. And what we realized that previously, like in 80s, your tuition when you go to state college would be mostly subsidized by government. Like 90% of your tuition would be subsidized by government. That's how your parents were able to actually pay for their tuition during the summer job, like through the summer job. And that's how the debt never accumulated as much. But in late 80s, beginning of 90s, because of almost bankruptcy state of public pension funds, the governments in different states and in federal level as well made a decision to not only bail out, but also for the future protect these pension funds. For example, in California, the growth of public pension funds, including teachers' funds, guaranteed on a level of 7.8% a year. Imagine that your deficit would be guaranteed at this level.
A state budget.
And it's not even average.
The state budget.
It's
so
not,
the subsidies to education went down as a result.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. So
you can see tons of information become publicly available
you can
online.
Trace it.
You can trace it. It's all there. Tons of data. But if you like to dig in this data, you can find it. It's just there, you can see it. You can like, all right, the money goes into the education and then to the pension.
To the pension fund, like a Carlsberg's in California. Yes, it's a public pension fund of public workers and pension fund of teachers of California. No one really realized the size of these funds.
And no one really realized the gap in between
assets and liabilities
of this fund.
So
when everyone discusses that the pension funds are underfunded,
it's only
public pension funds
like
which are underfunded.
$5 trillion of a gap. $5 trillion. This is accounting the money which is constantly transferred from subsidies to the pension
Someone
funds, instead
might
of subsidies
think that this is just public workers. Like they're probably 15% of workforce in the United States, and yet the size of their pension funds is half
of all pension
funds.
Even though it's only 15% of workforce.
Why? Because of a guaranteed 7.8% annual growth. Because when the rest of the market goes down, up.
So, and this problem is not only in education. If you look at the police, there was this big movement of unfunding police, and we looked at the budgets. And per person in LA, for example, per officer in LA, it's almost like $250,000 a year.
And people was very angry about that. Like, what the hell? Like, we pay you a lot, and like you're not doing your job.
The real workers right now, the real officers
are not paid as
much, and they get only a tiny portion of it, and most of it goes as a transfer for pension funds for officers who worked 30 years ago.
So where does this lead? You guys are looking at the data, and I suppose like a good set of data ideally allows you to have some predictive ability or at least speculation ability. So what do you do with this?
Zooming out to a larger picture, what it led to is that through the generations, saying from boomers, I know this is like a false science about dividing people into these generations, but we can
people who was born around 50s, yes, so let's say.
The boomers, as they were getting into 30 years old on average as a generation, owned something around 23% of national wealth in the United States. That following generation, Gen X's, at the same average age, owned around 7%. Us, the millennials, by the same age, owned only less than 3%, like 2.8-ish. And then the trajectory shows us that together with the crisis which happened during the COVID, we can expect that the next generation after us, the Gen Z, going to be in debt
by
the same average age. On average, as a generation, they're still going to be in debt.
So trajectory really bad. And also what this creates that if these young people, when they realize that the social agreement is not working, social structures will start to fall apart.
What do you think are some likely ways that will show up?
We will see like the new wave of unions, protests, people not working, economy slowing down, this stuff. New businesses not created. We can see from the statistics that over the last 10 years, the share of the new businesses created in the United States, and in the United States, lots of new businesses created every year. Lots of them never survive the year, but like that's the case. You create many businesses, and lots of them die, and some of them survive, and that's the economy. So the share of the new businesses created annually in the United States by the people under 30 years old used to be 40% or 45%, let's say 40, and now 10 years later, now it's a 30. It's down 10%.
Is the same number of companies being built just by younger and older, or is the total
just like
number?
More companies, the total number is sort of the same. It's just like not young people creating them. It's people 55 plus creating them.
That's surprising.
That's surprising. And know what, like I would expect, I never checked the data, but my intuition tells me all those businesses are just real estate. People buying houses and renting them out. So nothing new is created. Just the spike in the price in real estate is just because they're buying and renting out. And those are the new businesses.
So there are a lot of problems, but still, like when you talk about the problems, it's really important to also at least propose some solutions. And what we saw, because we realized that this shift is based on regulations. it's not natural that this shift is happening. It's a regulation. That's the rules which was set by the previous generations, which making this constant transfer.
Yeah.
We realize that if you would decipher these regulations, what they did, that they made a preference to equity, to like shares of the companies, etc., compared to the income. So capital gain is taxed less. Like there are a lot of things which actually made the huge difference between equity, how equity treated by the regulation and by the market,
And personal income.
and how personal income.
Got it. Right. The taxation.
Everything.
The incentives, everything
the
is
pension
set.
funds can invest in that, but they cannot invest in that, and things like that. So like limitations set, not naturally.
If you have
which
all the
creates this-
capital, like the majority of the capital is pension capital, then where it can be invested matters a lot.
Sure.
So in this term, we realize that the solution which we can test and propose
At least try.
is to try to convert income
Individual income
to
into
to
securities.
Okay. So this is where the Liberman's company comes
Yes.
in?
First time we did this
To ourselves?
With is as a scientist, you need to make the experiments, and the experiments first have
Wish
to,
more scientists did this.
yes.
Yeah, you gotta be the first monkey shot into space
Yes.
Exactly.
at less than 3 Gs.
So even though our income is not stable, but if you will build a model around all the founders, all tech founders, and the probabilities of successes during the period of time, we can build an income model like you would do with a company projections.
Risk-weighted, risk-adjusted cash flow projection of an entrepreneur.
And then based on this
Like a value
projections,
stock.
yes, and then by based on these projections, you can actually set a price for a company which would have the same type of income. In this case, if you can form the company, then you can attract investment the same way companies do. And in this case, you will eliminate this bias, and vice versa will be supercharged by improving your future.
So supercharged, just to try to ensure I'm hearing you correctly. So supercharged meaning if you're showing a decent rate of growth, even though you're capital constrained, if you can bring in equity investors who invest in you as if you were a company, you can accelerate your growth and potential.
And then we can average this as an index across some cohorts of specific professions or specific cohorts like students, for example. You have higher education or you don't have higher education. How does it change your average income
Should
in the
we
United
invest
States?
in you
Should we invest
having good
in
education?
every kid to have the good higher education for them to increase their individual income, and that's where investors get their money back? Or should we just leave it the way it is right now, with the loan, which then suppress the wheel to go and risk, and that's how young people don't create new businesses and just go find a shitty job?
Mm-hmm. So how do you think you incentivize this type of wider adoption and data sharing, right? Because I can imagine if, let's just say we flash forward and this has been widely adopted. Now I can choose, all right, do I want to invest in people who are getting accounting degrees, or maybe I have a more reliable return on my investment year on year? Or do I want to invest in like the growth stocks that have much higher volatility, right? Like the entrepreneurs of a certain class or maybe age bracket, where it's going to be a much riskier by volatility measurements investment, but who knows, the gains could be higher. How do you go from a single proof of concept? I have also questions about taxation, just if you're being taxed at an ordinary income level, how you translate that effectively to equity holders who might be your investors, let's just say. But we could tackle any one of those. So it could be like, how do you contend with maybe the handicap of having ordinary income taxed, even though that's presumably what people are investing in on some level, like the discounted cash flow or whatever. And then how do you take this and encourage other people to experiment with it?
We start with ourselves as tech entrepreneurs, because most of our income comes from building companies and selling companies or like making companies.
It's even
publicly
today,
traded.
there is no difference whether you registered this company under your name or you registered this company under a holding company name.
That's a great point. You guys are actually operating in a very in an easier case, straightforward case, because most of your gains would be
from companies.
Therefore likely long-term capital gains. Maybe you have like
That's
QSBS exclusions, etc. Versus if you guys were like very high-paid lawyers or something, it could get a lot trickier.
Yes, we went through that.
Example. Thousands of entrepreneurs can actually show in their example that it works for the investors. And then if it works for the investors, then we can introduce new regulations which will make it work for the professionals, let's say software engineers, doctors, lawyers, and from there go to even wider groups like students. There need to be even more regulations because like kids need to be protected and stuff like this. It all possible to be done.
So we're pretty sure that at least some politicians who will see that their voters can benefit out of it and that they can actually live better life, and the problems like student debts can be solved in just really short term by the tools like that. We hope that some rules will change.
Right now, most of the pension funds are invested in really bubbled, overpriced assets just because it's too much money and not that much of instruments like financial instruments to actually generate the growth.
That's why they needed this credit default swaps, etc., because they need these derivatives because it was just too much money to invest. So if they will be invested in people,
talking about investing in people,
everyone will win. Like pension funds will win, like people will win. It's just the growth of the economy would be much faster than
it's likely going to be 10 times larger market to invest in when we start investing in individual income as equity.
What do you say to people who think about this and they're like, okay, I'm sure there are cases where this would be very attractive, at least initially, right? So you might have somebody like a very promising YouTuber, they want to build out a studio and hire. I guess they could go out and raise like an equity round if they're
That's what we did.
Okay.
But with individual income, like into YouTubers.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So now, do you think if somebody is really successful that they would try to renegotiate or that they would not try to renegotiate?
There is an example. It's not us. It was before us. There is a fund which invested in college athletes. And they proposed to every college athlete, they took the statistics because it's quite statistical thing.
It's like a Moneyball type of a game. Like they calculated their way to understanding how to predict how many students they should invest in order to basically hit
a couple of LeBron James.
Exactly. Yes, and they offered every student around like
the same price.
5-10%
We're
investment.
buying 5-10% of your future income, and we pay you the same price. It's $10 million
so $500,000
valuation.
per 5-10%. 70 students agreed.
Athletes.
One of them already netted a 15 years contract for $350 million. So they did great with the fund.
Yeah, they did pretty well.
There is one athlete
to sue them,
who's tried to challenge this agreement in court.
This one athlete challenge.
One athlete.
Was it the same athlete?
No. This one, there is a great interview of him where he explains that this money actually helped him a lot.
Best decision
and
in
he
his
would
life.
Never do another decision.
I'm just imagining he might be cool with it, but I'm thinking about like the managers and the agents who are like, what the fuck is this?
But
it worked out.
Yes, it worked out
for everyone.
But there is another athlete who netted like $3-4 million a year type of contract. He tried to challenge this in the court, and everything in this case is more complicated than with our case. He was 16 when he signed. English wasn't his main language and things like that. So he signed, and still court was on the side of investors.
Upheld the agreement.
So
how can people find more about this particular example if they wanted to Google something?
I will send you
you can
the
send
link.
it to me. We'll put it in the show notes.
Yes, I think it was in Wall Street Journal, the description of all this case, but also I can send you the links to the court case because all the court cases, they open so you can see all the arguments. And arguments of the court, they were about the fact that he did well. So it's not about investors taking the last penny of you, I think like that. So he did well, and also investors described all the scenarios. So there is a scenario in the agreement that there is a scenario that you will do well, and in this case we will get this amount of money. So they described all the scenarios.
Precisely described.
So,
moreover,
so definitely,
I don't remember what was in their contract, but in our contract, when we
with your investors.
with our investors, and when we invest in other
We also
people
invest in
ourselves,
other founders.
we also invested already in like around a dozen people. We have this
Minimal sum, which we don't
minimal
touch
sum,
a year.
which we don't like, minimal income of yours, before which we are not getting anything.
Okay, yeah, there's a hurdle, right?
Yes.
There's a hurdle. Like, we actually aim to have the outliers.
Yeah, it's a power law distribution.
power law.
In most of industries, there is this power law. It's not only in tech; it's just in art, in podcasts, in like
Our
in
opinion about
athletes,
this,
like
we will all win. The market will win. Society will win. Humanity will win from the fact that we will use this power law for wider groups of people to invest in them, provide them capital, and provide them chance to get a higher education, to try to start a business.
So, question about your investments.
Yes.
To the extent that, and we can look at it at least two different ways. So, one could be your investors and why they chose to invest in you guys. But since you guys made the decisions about your investments, I'm curious about those people. To what extent did you choose them based on their earning potential and so on versus their potential to be a good ambassador or story for this model? Because they both seem to matter.
Yes,
right?
now we
so
care
like
about
a
both.
good investment
Yeah.
may have the financial ROI, but there's also
Obviously,
showcasing.
because we have not that much money to invest in every people we want, we needed to pick those who will be a good story.
So definitely we look at both. So in terms of investors in us, the first investor who supported us,
He did not allow us to back off, like how to say back up.
yeah.
Like, and we were almost ready to say like, oh, to give up and say like, okay, we're not doing this. And he's like, no, guys, you have to do this. Like, please.
Sam Lessing, he actually had the similar idea when he was out of high school in 2001. He is one of the general partners of Slow Ventures. So
Too
he
early.
invested in us. But then other prominent names like Mark Andreessen or Chris Dixon or Josh Kushner, they all
Also
like,
now own
invested
tiny share of the Libermans.
in Libermans. But we earned it. It didn't work right away, but we made the first round, then we proved some results, then we made the second round. So like with the startups. So when we invest, for us, definitely it means a lot that we want to find really great examples, because all these examples will affect the future of the idea, and this will help others to get access to the same type of resources.
But what's more important for us, the major thing is whether we believe, and this is intuition, if the person will continue building after failing.
Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one,
because
right? Because
if
you're
we
not just
invest-
investing in one
Yes, we don't
company or
invest in one
idea.
company. Moreover, we would come and already did this through the last year and a half as we investing in people. We came to people and said like, quit it, drop it. I mean, that's
It's
not
working.
worth your time. It's not working. Like, switch to something new.
You will never hear about
You will
like
never
that.
ever hear something like that from the investor who invested in this particular company. If I invested in you personally, I am mostly interested in your success. And if you are like locked yourself
refreshing.
into something which you like, no, I gotta do this, like this is failure. It's not failure. It's an attempt. 70% of those attempts gonna end up with zero. So just move on. Start next one. You'll be successful later.
With Sam, it's probably our like best relationship with the investors
So far.
ever. So because it can be really open in not just showing the good results, but also showing the things which are not
Struggles.
working, struggles. Because now we like in a different type of relationship, and we really like it. And we had challenging experiences with investors before. So we
I don't
really
think
like
Sam's
this.
going to take you to any basements.
Yes.
Seems unlikely.
Exactly. But not even that. I mean, like he's fully supporting us.
The same when we invest. So we understand like some of the founders we invest, they already failed with their current projects and they started the new one, and we were the ones who support them through this process.
Some of them are coming through like hard times, and we would say, go for a sabbatical.
Go to
Rest.
Vipassana.
Go to Vipassana. Like, take care of yourself. Like, you need to be super efficient, and you need to be like happy with your own
Long-term,
life.
you need to be efficient.
Long term, this will score us much more than if you're like, will destroy yourself right now.
Yes, and we already have a really beautiful examples when founders were able, through this freedom, were able to act the way they wouldn't act, and it already gave them results. And
Like we completely enjoin with the passes of all the people who we invested in, and they're all very different stories, different individuals, different spheres. Like it's everywhere from YouTuber to like reinventing quantum physics.
yes, and with YouTuber Marina, she is actually really also awesome example. She is a founder. She had the startup, but to create a marketing vehicle for the startup, she created a YouTube channel, and then this YouTube channel
Media empire
became like a much larger thing than the startup.
Making like $1 million plus
a year for a network.
But a mortgage, family, kids, it's all risk which you wouldn't bet all of your income to the growth. Yes, she was growing fast, but as soon as she got like the understanding that she can use the capital from her future, like literally this is what we're doing. This is capital from your future. If you're doing as you're doing right now, then clearly you're going to have that amount of money in the future. So you can take part of this money, which already almost exists, into the present time, and use it in order to make your future even more successful.
So this brings up something that I wasn't sure we would get to, but I figure I can bring it up.
Time machine. Is it possible?
well, there's the time machine, but there's also maybe and I go back and forth on how I feel about this, but I guess you could look to the data if you have such data, and there is some, it would seem, but maybe the over fetishizing of suffering and how that contributes to success, or the belief that the more one struggles, the more likely you are to have outsized success, because those make for good stories, right?
Yeah.
Somebody suffers for their whole life and then they show how much they can persevere and then they succeed. But if you look at, some of the examples that you mentioned earlier of like the dropout and then the big company, these are not stories of abject suffering from the earliest stages of childhood, generally. So would you say, and this is tying it to what you just said, that by relieving some of those pressures with the mortgage and the kids, you're improving the likelihood of a bigger success later? Or somebody could certainly look at it and say, well, she's not going to be as hungry.
So we have lots to say about this subject.
That's why I'm asking.
If we will look at the most successful experiment of all times for the humanity, providing free school education for everyone, doesn't matter whether they're a smartest kid on the street or not, like every kid, gave us more than any other investment which we as a humanity, like infrastructures and stuff. No, providing free education is this. Like a capital early on.
It was a controversial idea like 100 years ago.
It's an expensive investment to provide education for every kid. Expensive investment. And we scored a beautiful world, gave a lot to us. So providing a little bit more of the same can give us unexpected results. The different perspective is if we look at majority of the unicorns created in the United States and look at who were the founders of those companies.
And these are companies worth $1 billion or more.
Those are companies worth $1 billion or more.
A big share of them, like
huge
most
share.
of them are from upper middle class families. They never struggled as us, like they never went through real like poverty type of situation,
losing
hunger,
all of the money on the bank accounts and stuff like this.
All the stories about dropouts from college. They never had the student debt. Parents paid for their college, and that's how they afforded to do that.
The other thing that gets left out of those stories is when you drop out of a fancy school, they always let you come back. Generally. It's not like you burn the ships behind you.
Exactly. And then the last one. Well, probably not the last one, but the one also for last one for me. Then David will tell something. The struggle will come. It doesn't matter if you have millions of dollars. You will always be struggling because you strive to achieve more and it's challenging. And it's not necessary that the struggle is needed, but it will be there.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're like rich or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what was this? Rich people also cry.
I'm not going to wear that T-shirt around, but yeah, I mean, that's true.
And the challenge comes,
But you know, like,
especially when you start a startup. You want it to to but the
I mean, also human nature is human nature. Like life is
70%
suffering. It's gonna find you. Don't worry.
samsara and still here.
Exactly.
but in general, you know, like with this argument, we hear a lot that founders should struggle. So we struggled a lot through our founder's path. We were like having no resources
Yeah.
in the country where investments are always considered as a debt. You need to put as a collateral your house and things like that. Compared to San Francisco, where there is no collateral, you can have a salary. You know, like in our case, we were prohibited to have a salary as the founders. How
Like,
you should
you
survive.
should have the skin in the game, they said.
No salary. That's hardcore.
So hardcore. And if you compare this experience with Silicon Valley experience, this is a struggle.
Not struggle,
Not struggle at all. So most of the successful companies you know would never exist without venture capital. Venture capital is money in advance. Is actually not struggling. Struggling is like having the cash flow and building your like bootstrap business. Most of the companies are not like that because some levels of achievements in some, at least in some areas, they require this freedom for you to actually risk and to try things. That's why we believe that some struggle is needed, but we believe that not on the level we have right now.
You don't have to manufacture it.
Yes,
And there will always be competition.
but student loan, which just stops most of young people in the United States from actually taking risks early and to achieve more.
And later too. I mean,
too.
I know people in their 30s who still haven't paid off their, you know, and I'm not talking early 30s, like later 30s, especially if they go to like an extended graduate school or professional school, they're still paying off student debt.
This is unneeded struggle. This is really an optimal, not needed, artificial struggle, because we know that the subsidized money is paid by through taxes by people, but it's just spent on a different stuff.
Goes somewhere else.
So we don't believe in this idea that the struggle is needed, and vice versa. We believe that the different local maximum, which would be much higher in terms of the
Like
size of the
10 times
economy,
higher.
is in the place where we removed some of the struggles, especially those which are artificial and
And just like try to imagine what it is 10 times higher. More electricity, more power, more roads, more cars, more education, more whatever, more everything, 10 times more everything. This is when the abundance is probably likely to be close to reality. And that's what we can do in this new local maximum. If we just change the perspective on what's worse to invest in,
shares
the individual income or the undying companies. The companies are dying.
on average, they live actually less than human beings. Like
So-
all the statistics is for people in their potential, but all the regulations are actually
Supporting
for
with
companies and
shorter lifespan.
shares. Yes.
It's obvious why it's this way, because in the past, we needed this invention of limited liability companies in order to like remove the personal obligations, individual obligations over the business. Like when your ship is sunk in the sea, now you own not only all of your money, your house, but your family can be taken and enslaved.
Mhm.
Like we are far away from this world, like hundreds of years away from this world.
So now we can
through the innovation
innovate.
of like limited liability and then the public market. And this is all innovation in the way how we see the market and the way we look at the market. But we are ready for the new innovation. And this new innovation can like uplift the economy.
So, question for you guys. I'll answer it first too. So, what request would you like to make of my audience? So, very diverse audience across many countries, many places. Most of them are interested on some level in technology, not all of them. Well, let's be honest, all humans are interested in technology. They just might not recognize it as technology.
As I said, like limited liability company is a technology.
Is a technology, right? If we all use tools, that's the reason. It's the reason that Homo sapiens have done what they've done, good and bad. But my request for my audience would be to send me links to some of the biological and biophysics topics that you both discussed earlier. Very interested in all of that, including quantum effects and potentially bird vision or olfaction. All of this is of great interest to me. So people can shoot those to me on Twitter at tferris or elsewhere. But what requests would you like to make of my audience, or places you'd like to point them? Anything at all?
Two things. First, there is a conference about quantum biology near San Diego in 20th, like 18th of August.
All right, here we go. Look at that.
Like best scientists right now are gathering. It's still still quite a small group of people. That's why they're really supportive to each other, even though they should compete with each other, but they actually are quite supportive to each other. We will be in the conference as well. But what we would ask is actually first to think who would be those individuals you would invest in.
Likely all of us have someone who we like, this guy is going to be very successful.
Second is send this information out to us. So if you know the great person, you would invest. You would invest your money in
probably we also
let
should
us know.
invest.
And the third one is think that maybe you should invest in this person as well. Maybe it's your kid and you're a parent, and maybe you should make an agreement and actually invest in the person.
Our agreement is publicly available online. You can all read it and check what's the clauses in there. You can use this.
And that's Libermans.co?
Yes, there is an agreement there. So I would say that this is a request. So first think about these people you would invest in, send out the information about them to us.
So what is just being cognizant of the fact that this is a large audience, so sometimes not good to give out your private email. I've had people do that. I warn them about it. How should people notify you of these?
Form.
You have a form.
Yes, we have a form.
And that's it.
Humanism.is. Humanism is
humanism.is.
Right.
And also we communicate quite extensively through Instagram. Usually we use Instagram
million people will come.
Usually we use Instagram not for pictures, but for larger texts in some of the
that's
ideas.
Instagram.com/Libermans.
Libermans.
Libermans, also same spelling, Libermans.co. Just telling people. All right. So Instagram, the form at humanism.is, and people can find the agreement
on the Libermans.
Libermans.co. There you have it.
What's the other ask can be, if we truly want to see this world happening, we need to educate the older population and the investors and the grandmas and grandpas who actually are shareholders, stakeholders in the pension funds. We need to educate those people who actually own most of the money in the country to gradually start investing in this type of agreements, to at least check, to see what's going to happen in 5-10 years from now, if they're going to make more money by investing in individual income rather than private companies, public companies. And in this case, we will be able to have an experiment. And if it's a successful experiment, we will educate country and market to shift towards this.
Yes, you can ask your grandma to look where are the pension money of her are invested. And to see that probably some companies we all blame for some problems in the world, they can be the investors. That actually companies which affect our ecosystem in a bad way, they are not owned by
bankers or
rich
whatever
people. They actually, most of them, like 90%, owned by pension funds. So if we can educate our previous generations that they can
they
be
are
the
shareholders
problem.
in the problem. They're not the source of the problem.
Or they're shareholders in the future and they have to choose how their money is influencing
And they can be
that.
the shareholder of the future.
And
this is the heritage they can leave. destroying the planet or actually switching.
And I would imagine 99.9% of them have no idea
That they can control it.
that they have a choice.
Yes. And they have. That's the funniest part.
They can log in and they can
log
actually
in and change.
Sit down with your grandma, maybe look at their
Write an
401ks
email saying like,
and
I do want some share of my pension funds to be invested, like, on my savings to be invested in the individuals' corporations.
or in sustainable companies at least. This education should happen. Otherwise, there is this belief that previous generation did everything right, and just the new generation is fail. But it's really important to educate that some decisions which were made 30 years ago affect us a lot today. And some of this effect can be changed if we change where the money
And where is the knowledge
invested.
about?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is a communications problem and an education problem. And that net humans of different generations have more in common than they have different amongst them. But as you pointed out, sometimes the problems aren't obvious and sometimes problems aren't discussed and the options aren't discussed, right? The fact that I didn't know this until, shockingly recently for me, like 10 years ago, that I could, with retirement accounts, you can invest in privately held companies and all sorts of other things. It is an option. It's just not readily exploited by most people because they don't realize that it's on the menu. So I'm excited to see what people come up with.
Maybe someone need to make a startup which actually offers a solution for the pensioners to do it easier.
Yeah.
To just do the sustainable companies. Like that's it.
Yeah, some type of interface that makes it less manual, less one-on-one.
Yeah. Because right now it is hard. You need to spend some time to actually set up your account properly. But
that's
actually,
the greatest opportunity. We just need all to talk about this. If you have some challenges believing in this, you can make your own research on trying to understand whether we're right with our data and our points of view. B, you can ask a question in the forum. You can find a way to reach us out and ask a question. So we will explain how we see this and why we believe this is actually the really, really, really good way of investing your money.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, this conversation has raised so many good questions. One of which is how do you take capital, which is it's a currency, it's something that you can exchange for other things that is currently locked in a somewhat static form that may not be generating much positive value in the world. And how do you liberate that for other faster growing, more dynamic sources of value, not just for the individual, but for the community, for society. And I think about that a lot. It's asset allocation, but on sort of a karmically considered level, at least at the collective.
And you don't need to spend the money which you need right now. It is money which...
you will only get access in 30 years from now.
So we made an experiment. When we joined Snap, it was first time in our life when we got 401k.
First time in our life employed.
Yes. Yes, we never
So
were
Snap
employed.
acquired us. We are employed. We now have 401k. And the experiment was we're getting exactly the same salary, exactly the same savings in the 401k account of both of us. David changed everything in his account, where the money is allocated, towards more sustainable companies. Companies caring about
They're doing
the planet.
Procter & Gamble's and
removing the
Coca-Cola's
problems
of the world.
yeah, exactly. And the Monsantos of the world, removing them from there and just shifting the investment towards the companies which are more sustainable. Me, I just left everything as it was by default, provided by the Fidelity.
So far, I earned 20,000 more than Daniil.
The gross is 30% higher than mine.
So in instance, it's just...
That's the funniest
case.
part.
So if you believe that other people believe in the same, is that actually the world is moving in a more sustainable, clean society, you will win financially as well. Because if the shift is happening, if you believe in the shifts, then...
And it should happen, otherwise we're all gonna die. But because it's happening, naturally, logically, it's happening, then it should be no-brainer that we should invest in the companies which actually does this. Because others will lose in the market game.
Yeah, it doesn't, doing right morally doesn't need to mean doing something that is self-destructive.
Yes.
You can align the incentives.
Absolutely. And investing in your kids and your grandkids is the best thing ever.
Right. So I think everybody listening has a good amount to think about, and they have options for communicating with you. They can go to Libermans.co to see examples of the agreements, right? The types of contracts that have this participation in future earnings potential and outcomes of individuals. They can go to humanism.is to fill out a form after they think about which of their friends, which of their peer group, which of their circle they would most invest their own savings into. And they can also consider doing that themselves with the templates that you provided. We've got the Instagram book and course for those interested in exploring coding. And the Instagram is instagram.com/Libermans. David, Daniil, thank you so much for taking the time today.
It's awesome.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah.
Awesome pleasure.
So much fun to traverse so much ground with you. And for everybody listening, as per usual, we'll have extensive show notes linked to all the resources, everything that was mentioned. And we'll track down a few things here and there, including links to, might have been in Wall Street Journal, but the sports example. And you can peruse those at your leisure at tim.blog/podcast. And until next time, be a little bit kinder than is necessary to others, but also to yourself. And as always, thanks for tuning in. Hey guys, this is Tim again. Just one more thing before you take off, and that is 5 Bullet Friday. Would you enjoy getting a short email from me every Friday that provides a little fun before the weekend? Between 1.5 and 2 million people subscribe to my free newsletter, my super short newsletter called 5 Bullet Friday. Easy to sign up, easy to cancel. It is basically a half page that I send out every Friday to share the coolest things I've found or discovered or have started exploring over that week. It's kind of like my diary of cool things. It often includes articles I'm reading, books I'm reading, albums perhaps, gadgets, gizmos, all sorts of tech tricks and so on that get sent to me by my friends, including a lot of podcast guests. And these strange esoteric things end up in my field, and then I test them, and then I share them with you. So if that sounds fun, again, it's very short, a little tiny bite of goodness before you head off for the weekend, something to think about. If you'd like to try it out, just go to tim.blog/Friday. Type that into your browser, tim.blog/Friday. Drop in your email, and you'll get the very next one. Thanks for listening. This episode is brought to you by Protect's Rest Supplement, a new take on getting deeper and more restorative sleep. I was introduced to this by former Navy SEAL Nick Norris, who has been on this podcast, and as a mutual friend of ours put it to me, it's very annoying that Nick has no physical weaknesses. This is somebody who can climb like a spider. He has incredible abilities as a rock climber. He is incredibly strong and can also run ultra marathons. It's quite something to behold. And this is one of the tools that he uses. So Protect's Rest Supplement helps provide consistent, restful sleep without any habit-forming ingredients or groggy side effects. Simply add it to your last glass of water before bed, and it goes to work. So I tried this after I mentioned to Nick that I was avoiding melatonin due to next day sluggishness and its possible effects on testicular function. So I was trying to wean myself off of things like that. This rest cocktail has worked wonders, and I've made it part of my sleep toolkit. It's literally on a counter about 20 feet from where I'm recording this right now. Pro tip number 1, if you have trouble opening the packets, just use scissors. Don't make it hard. Pro tip number 2, mix the packets with water. Do not skip that step and chug it alone. I've learned from experience. Rest has no added sugars, artificial sweeteners, or artificial ingredients. Protect is veteran-owned, and they make all of their products right here in the USA. Visit protect.com/Tim to buy Protect Rest, and you will get a free bottle of Clarity with your order. Clarity is a nootropic mushroom blend of lion's mane, reishi, cordyceps, and turkey tail designed to support brain function and mental performance. I have not personally tested Clarity yet, but I'm excited to give it a shot. And check it out. That's Protect, that's PROTEKT.com/Tim for a free bottle of Clarity with your purchase of Protect Rest. One more time, PROTEKT.com/Tim. This episode is brought to you by Helix Sleep. Helix Sleep is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses based on your sleep preferences. Their lineup includes 14 unique mattresses, including a collection of luxury models, a mattress for big and tall sleepers, that's not me, and even a mattress made specifically for kids. They have models with memory foam layers to provide optimal pressure relief if you sleep on your side, as I often do and did last night on one of their beds. Models with more responsive foam to cradle your body for essential support in stomach and back sleeping positions, and on and on. They have you covered. So how will you know which Helix mattress works best for you and your body? Take the Helix Sleep Quiz at helixsleep.com/Tim and find your perfect mattress in less than 2 minutes. Personally, for the last few years, I have been sleeping on a Helix Midnight Luxe mattress. I also have one of those in the guest bedroom, and feedback from friends has always been fantastic. They frequently say it's the best night of sleep they've had in ages. It's something they comment on without any prompting from me whatsoever. Helix mattresses are American-made and come with a 10 or 15-year warranty, depending on the model. Your mattress will be shipped straight to your door, free of charge. And there's no better way to test out a new mattress than by sleeping on it in your own home. That's why they offer a 100-night risk-free trial. If you decide it's not the best fit, you're welcome to return it for a full refund. Helix has been awarded #1 mattress by both GQ and Wired magazines. And now Helix has harnessed years of extensive mattress expertise to bring you a truly elevated sleep experience. Their newest collection of mattresses, called Helix Elite, includes 6 different mattress models, each tailored for specific sleep positions and firmness preferences, so you can get exactly what your body needs. Each Helix Elite mattress comes with an extra layer of foam for pressure relief and thousands of extra microcoils for best-in-class support and durability. Every Helix Elite mattress also comes with a 15-year manufacturer's warranty and the same 100-night trial as the rest of Helix's mattresses. Helix is now running their Labor Day sale, which you can take advantage of. Until September 10th, get 25% off on all mattress orders plus 2 free pillows. That is very significant savings. That's 25 off because of their Labor Day sale. So check it out. Go to helixsleep.com/Tim. One more time, Helix, Helix, sleep.com/Tim. With Helix, better sleep starts now.